Stop everything you are doing and give me your absolute, undivided attention, because the next 10 minutes will determine whether the rest of your life is a repetition of your past or the beginning of your destiny. If you are listening to this while scrolling through a feed or distracted by the noise of the world, you are already proving the very point I am here to destroy. You are proving that you are not in control of your own mind. You are proving that you are drifting. And drifting is the silent disease that kills more dreams, destroys more potential, and creates more poverty than any economic crash or external failure ever could. I am not here to entertain you or to give you a temporary boost of motivation that will fade by tomorrow morning. I am here to issue a warning and a command. The warning is that you are likely asleep at the wheel of your own life. The command is that you must wake up now. You stand today at a dangerous crossroads where one path leads to the definiteness of purpose and the other leads to the hypnotic rhythm of mediocrity. Most men and women do not fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they simply drift into failure. They drift into jobs they hate because it is what their parents told them to do. They drift into relationships that drain them because they are afraid to be alone. They drift into financial struggle because they never made a definite decision to be wealthy. They accept whatever life throws at their feet like a beggar accepting scraps, never realizing that they are sitting on a throne. You must understand that nature has a law that makes permanent whatever habit you indulge in. If you indulge in the habit of drifting, of letting your days pass without a clear plan, nature will weave that habit into your character until you are no longer capable of making a decision. This is not a theory. This is the mechanism that separates the 2% who succeed from the 98% who fail. Let us look closely at the drifter so you can recognize him in the mirror. The drifter is the man who has no mind of his own and looks to others to tell him what to think. The drifter is the man who never finishes what he starts. The drifter is the man who complains about the economy, complains about his boss, and complains about his bad luck, never realizing that his external world is nothing more than a reflection of his internal chaos. He waits for the right time to start, but the right time never comes because time does not wait for the indecisive. He is a leaf blowing in the wind, moving in whatever direction the strongest force pushes him. One day he is excited about an idea, and the next day he is depressed because a friend criticized him. He has no anchor, he has no North Star, and because he stands for nothing, he falls for everything. This is the tragedy of the modern world. We have more information than ever before, yet we have more confusion than ever before because we have lost the ability to think for ourselves and direct our own minds to a definite end. Contrast this with the non-drifter. The non-drifter is the architect of his own reality. He does not wait for opportunity to knock on his door. He builds the door. He has a mind of his own and uses it for his own purposes. When he makes a mistake, he does not make excuses. He analyzes the failure, extracts the seed of equivalent benefit, and moves forward with renewed wisdom. You will know the non-drifter because he has a certain look in his eye, a certain briskness in his step, and a certain resonance in his voice that commands respect. He knows what he wants, and he is determined to get it, even if it takes him a lifetime. He does not ask for permission to succeed. He decides, this is the shift you must make right now. You must move from the 98% who drift to the 2% who drive. You must understand that the devil of failure does not need to possess your soul. He only needs to distract your mind. If he can keep you busy with trivialities, if he can keep you fearful of what others think, if he can keep you chasing cheap pleasures and temporary comforts, he has won. He has neutralized your potential without ever having to fight you. Consider the analogy of the farmer in the field. If a farmer clears a piece of land and plants no seeds, what happens? Does the land stay barren and clean? No. Weeds grow. The farmer does not have to plan for the weeds. He does not have to water the weeds. They appear automatically, because nature abhors a vacuum. If you do not deliberately plant the seeds of success, of wealth, and of health in the garden of your mind, the weeds of failure and poverty will grow automatically. Drifting is simply the act of neglecting the garden. It is the act of leaving your mind open to the negative influences of the world. Every time you open your phone and consume fear-based news, you are allowing someone else to plant weeds in your garden. Every time you listen to a friend tell you that your dreams are unrealistic, you are allowing weeds to take root. Every time you tell yourself that you are not good enough, you are watering the poison that will kill your harvest. The non-drifter stands guard at the gate of his mind and says that no thought shall enter here unless it serves my definite purpose. I want you to analyze your own life with brutal honesty right now. Look at your bank account. Look at your body. Look at your relationships. Look at your daily habits. Are these the results of a deliberate plan, or are they the accumulation of years of drifting? Did you choose exactly where you are, or did you just end up there? It is painful to admit that we have been drifting, but that pain is necessary. That pain is the fire that burns away the illusions. You must get angry at your own passivity. You must decide that you are done being a spectator in your own life. You were not born to pay bills and die. You were born to express the infinite intelligence that flows through you. But this intelligence cannot flow through a blocked channel. It cannot speak to a mind that is cluttered with fear and indecision. You must clear the channel. You must take control. Taking control begins with a single, irrevocable decision. It begins when you look in the mirror and say that you will no longer accept a life that is less than your potential. This is not about wishing for better things. Wishing is for children. This is about demanding better from yourself. You must establish a definite chief aim. This is the anchor that stops the drift. If you do not have a target, you cannot hit it. If you do not have a destination, no wind is favorable. You must know exactly what you want, exactly when you want it, and exactly what you are willing to give to get it. When you have this clarity, the drift stops. Why? Because now every decision is filtered through your purpose. When a distraction comes, you ask if this moves you toward your aim or away from it. If it moves you away, you reject it without hesitation. The drifter cannot do this because he has no measuring stick. He says yes to everything because he is going nowhere. But the man with a purpose says no to the good so he can say yes to the great. You might be thinking that it is too late for you, that you have drifted for too long, that you are too old or too poor or too broken. That is the voice of the drift trying to pull you back into the current. It is a lie. The moment you make a true decision, the past ceases to have power over you. History is filled with men and women who drifted for 40 or 50 years and then woke up. Colonel Sanders drifted until he was 65 before he started his empire. Henry Ford drifted in failure until he was 40. It does not matter how long you have been asleep. It only matters that you wake up now. The power to control your mind is the only power that no one can take from you. You can lose your money, you can lose your home, you can lose your reputation, but you can never lose the power to choose your own thoughts unless you voluntarily give it away. And when you take back that power, you align yourself with the strongest force in the universe. This warning is the foundation for everything we are about to discuss. We are going to walk through the 13 principles of success, from desire to the sixth sense. But listen to me closely. These principles will be useless to you if you remain a drifter. You cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. You cannot apply the principle of auto-suggestion if your mind is wandering. You cannot use the mastermind if you are unreliable. You cannot transmute your energy if you lack discipline. Stop looking for a magic trick that will bypass the work of self-mastery. There is no such thing. The only way out is through. The only way to riches is to become the kind of person who attracts riches. And that person is a non-drifter. That person is a commander of their own soul. So before we move into the first principle of desire, I require a silent oath from you. I want you to kill the drifter inside you. I want you to declare war on procrastination. I want you to decide that from this second forward, you will live by design and not by default. You will think your own thoughts. You will set your own goals. You will walk your own path, even if you have to walk it alone. The crowd is going in the wrong direction. The crowd is heading toward the cliff of mediocrity. Do not follow them. Turn around. Face the mountain of your potential and start climbing. It will be hard. It will require sweat and sacrifice. But the pain of discipline is ounces, while the pain of regret is tons. Do not die with your music still inside you. Do not let your life be a warning to others of what happens when a man sleeps through his existence. Let your life be an example of what happens when a man wakes up and takes the controls. We are now ready to begin the construction of your new life. Let us proceed to the first principle. Now that we have awakened you from the hypnotic sleep of drifting, we must lay the first stone of your new foundation. This is the starting point of all achievement and the first step toward riches. I call it burning desire. You must understand clearly what this means, because the word desire has been diluted by the weak and the aimless. I am not speaking of a wish. I am not speaking of a hope. I am not speaking of a mild preference for a better life. A wish is a passive thing. A wish has no power to move the limbs or fire the imagination. Every beggar on the street wishes for money. Every failure wishes for success. Every lonely heart wishes for love. If wishes could create wealth, then every person walking this earth would be a king. But they are not. The universe does not respond to a wish because a wish is merely a declaration of what you lack. It is a passive acceptance that you do not have it. We are moving beyond wishing today. We are moving into the realm of an intense, pulsating, consuming obsession that accepts no reality other than its own fulfillment. This is what I call a burning desire. To understand the mechanics of this principle, you must realize that nature wraps every impulse of strong desire in a mysterious force that recognizes no such word as impossible and accepts no such reality as failure. When you want something so badly that you are willing to stake your entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, you have moved from the realm of chance into the realm of law. You have stopped drifting. A drifter hopes something good will happen. A person with a burning desire decides what will happen and then bends their reality to fit that decision. This desire is a state of mind that becomes the dominant vibration of your brain. It keeps you awake at night. It wakes you up early in the morning. It intrudes upon your thoughts while you are eating. It becomes the background noise of your entire existence. If you can go a whole day without thinking about your major goal, then you do not have a burning desire, you have a hobby. A burning desire is a jealous mistress that demands all of your attention. Let us examine the story of Edwin C. Barnes to see this principle in flesh and blood. Barnes did not just want to meet Thomas Edison. He did not just want to work for Thomas Edison. He had a definite, specific, burning desire to become the business partner of the greatest inventor on earth. Now look at the facts of his reality. He had no money. He had very little education. He had no influence. He did not know Edison. And he lived hundreds of miles away from the Orange, New Jersey laboratory. By all logic, by all reasonable standards, his desire was insanity. A drifter would have looked at those obstacles and said, "It cannot be done." A drifter would have said, "I will try to get a job at a factory nearby, and maybe I will get lucky." But Barnes did not operate by logic. He operated by desire. He was so consumed by this one idea that he hopped on a freight train and rode the rails to reach his destination. He crawled out of that train looking like a tramp, but he walked into Edison's laboratory with the mind of a king. When he stood before Edison, he did not look like a partner. Edison later said that Barnes looked like an ordinary vagrant, but there was something in the expression of his face that conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after. Edison hired him not because of his resume, but because he saw a man who had made up his mind to stand by that desire until he realized it. But here is where the story tests the principle. Barnes did not become a partner on day one. He did not become a partner in year one. For years he did menial work. He swept floors. He repaired machines. To the outside world, he was just another cog in the wheel. But in his own mind, he was never an employee. He was a partner in waiting. He did not let the time kill his desire. He used the time to feed his desire. He studied Edison. He learned the business. He kept that fire burning white hot when there was absolutely no evidence that he would ever succeed. This is the crucial distinction. Most men desire a thing for a week, and when they see no results, the fire dies. Barnes kept the fire burning until the opportunity finally appeared. And when it appeared, it did not look like what he expected. It came in the form of a failure. Edison had invented a dictating machine that his salesman could not sell. They called it a failure. Barnes saw it as his gateway. He seized the opportunity and sold that machine so successfully that Edison gave him a contract to distribute it nationwide. The slogan became, "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes." That partnership made Barnes a wealthy man, but it did something far greater. It proved that a thought, magnetized with burning desire, can be transmuted into physical reality. You must understand the psychological law at work here. When you burn all bridges behind you and leave yourself no avenue of retreat, you force your subconscious mind to find a way. This is the lesson of the ancient generals who would land their armies on enemy shores and then burn their own ships. They would stand before their soldiers and point to the burning vessels and say that you cannot go home unless you win. We win or we perish. That is the spirit of burning desire. Most of you have too many safety nets. You have a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. You say that if this business fails, I can always go back to my old job. If this dream fails, I can always settle for less. And because you have a safety net, you fall into it. The subconscious mind knows when you are hedging your bets. It knows when you are not fully committed. And because it knows you have a way out, it does not release the full power of your creativity. It holds back. But when you cut off all sources of retreat, when you stand with your back to the wall and say, I will succeed or I will die trying, the subconscious mind unlocks reserves of energy and imagination that you did not know you possessed. This desire must be definite. You cannot desire money. The universe does not understand vague abstractions. You must desire a specific amount. You cannot desire success. Success means nothing until you define it. You must strip away the vagueness. If you are sick, you must have a burning desire for perfect health, not just relief. If you are poor, you must have a burning desire for a specific fortune, not just comfort. The clearer the picture, the stronger the magnetic pull. Think of a magnifying glass. If you hold it over a pile of dry leaves and move it around constantly, nothing happens. The sun's energy is scattered. But if you hold that glass steady, focusing the rays of the sun onto a single tiny point, the heat intensifies until those leaves burst into flame. Your mind is the magnifying glass. Your desire is the hand that holds it steady. If you keep changing your mind, if you want one thing on Monday and another on Tuesday, you will never create the fire. You will remain lukewarm, and the world spits out the lukewarm. This principle is the starting point because it is the fuel for all the other principles we will discuss. You cannot have faith without desire. You cannot use auto-suggestion without desire. You cannot have persistence without desire. When the road gets hard, and it will get hard, what will keep you moving? Logic will tell you to quit. Reason will tell you it is too risky. Your friends will tell you to be realistic. Only burning desire can override logic, reason, and fear. It is an emotional state that transcends the intellect. It is the part of you that refuses to be reasonable because being reasonable has never achieved anything great. The Wright brothers were not reasonable. Ford was not reasonable. Elon Musk is not reasonable. They were possessed by a desire that made them look crazy to the outside world until they succeeded, and then the world called them geniuses. So I ask you now to look into your own heart. What is it that you truly want? Not what you think you can get, not what your education dictates you should have. What do you want? If you could not fail, what would you pursue? You must find that thing, and then you must fan the flames of that desire until it becomes an obsession. Do not be afraid of the word obsession. The average man fears obsession because he seeks balance. He wants a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he ends up with a little bit of nothing. The extraordinary man understands that balance is for the end of life, not the building of it. To build something great, you must become unbalanced. You must become obsessed. You must let this desire consume your thoughts, your conversation, and your actions. You must fall in love with your goal. This is your assignment. Before we move to the next principle, you must crystallize this desire. You must stop treating your life like a rehearsal. This is not a practice run. This is the only time you have. If you are waiting for the desire to come to you, you will wait forever. You must build the fire yourself. You build it by thinking about your goal. You build it by writing it down. You build it by visualizing it as already done. You build it by refusing to talk about anything that does not align with it. As we move forward into the principle of faith, remember that faith is the chemical that is added to the fuel of desire. But desire must come first. You cannot believe in something you do not want. So kindle that fire. Let it burn the bridges of your past. Let it burn away your excuses. Let it burn so bright that it lights the way through the dark moments that are coming. You are a creator, and creation begins with the impulse of desire. Do not let this impulse die. Feed it, protect it, obey it, and it will carry you to heights you have never dared to imagine. This is the law. and the law never fails. We have established that burning desire is the starting point of all achievement, but desire alone is like steam in a boiler. It has tremendous power, but until that steam is piped into a piston and directed through an engine, it cannot move a locomotive 1 inch. You have the fire, now you need the engine. What I am about to give you is not a philosophy, it is a formula. It is the exact method by which Andrew Carnegie converted a humble beginning into one of the greatest fortunes the world has ever known. These are the 6 steps of gold. Do not make the mistake of thinking they are too simple to be true. Their power lies in their simplicity because the subconscious mind does not respond to complexity, it responds to clarity. If you follow these instructions to the letter, you are not merely planning, you are commanding the universe to deliver what is yours. The first step, fix in your mind the exact amount of money or the exact result you desire. It is not sufficient to say, I want plenty of money, or I want to be successful. That is the language of a drifter. The subconscious mind works like a guided missile. It cannot hit a target that is not there. You must give it coordinates. If you went to a bank and told the teller to give you some money, they would look at you with confusion. The universe operates the same way. You must be definite as to the amount. Is it $10 million? Is it 100,000? Be precise to the penny. This exactness signals to your mind that you are no longer wishing, but measuring. You are defining the container that reality must fill. The second step, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. This is the step most people try to skip, and it is the reason they fail. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Nature abhors a vacuum and it abhors a thief. The law of compensation is absolute. If you demand wealth, you must decide what value, what service, what product, or what sacrifice you will offer in exchange. Are you going to be the best salesman in your industry? Are you going to invent a device that saves time? Are you going to lead an organization? You must define your contribution. Wealth is not a gift. It is a payment for services rendered. If you cannot define what you are giving, you have no right to expect what you are getting. The third step. Establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money or the goal. A goal without a deadline is just a dream with no urgency. The subconscious mind acts on pressure. When you set a date, you create a psychological time clock that ticks in the back of your mind. It forces you to stop procrastinating. It forces you to become efficient. Do not worry if the date seems unrealistic. Set it anyway. You are giving your mind an instruction that time is running out. This pressure is necessary to crystallize the desire into action. Without a date, you will drift into someday, and someday is a place where dreams go to die. The fourth step. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Note the urgency here. Do not wait for the perfect plan. Do not wait until you have the money, the connections, or the approval. The waiting is a trap. The act of starting, even with a flawed plan, generates the momentum you need to correct the plan as you go. Motion creates clarity. Stagnation creates doubt. You must force your body to move before your mind feels ready. The plan allows you to channel your energy, but the action is what transmutes the thought into energy. If you wait for the perfect time, you will wait until the grave. Start where you are, with what you have, and better tools will be found as you go along. The fifth step. Write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. This is your written contract with life. When you write something down, you take it from the invisible realm of thought and give it physical form on paper. It is the first step of materialization. Do not type it on a device. Write it with your hand. The connection between the hand and the brain creates a neural impression that is deeper than mere observation. This document is not a wish list. It is a decree. It is a legal document between you and infinite intelligence. The sixth step. This is the most important step for the programming of the mind. Read your written statement aloud twice daily. Read it once just before retiring at night, and read it once after arising in the morning. As you read, you must see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. This is not passive reading. This is active acting. You must close your eyes and visualize the money in your hands. You must feel the texture of the result. You must feel the gratitude of having achieved it before it has happened. This is where the magic lies. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. If you can convince your subconscious that you are already rich, it will work day and night to align your physical reality with your inner belief. It will give you hunches, ideas, and inspiration. It will connect you with the right people. But you must perform this ritual with emotion. Words without emotion are dead. Words charged with belief are the most powerful force in the universe. Do not deviate from these steps. Do not complain that they are hard. They are not hard. They are demanding. They demand discipline. They demand that you take command of your own psychology. If you say to yourself that this sounds foolish or that it won't work, you are letting the ghost of failure speak for you. Andrew Carnegie paid Charles Schwab a fortune not because Schwab knew more about steel, but because Schwab understood how to use these principles to manage men and create wealth. You now have the formula. You have the map. The question is not whether the map works. The map has been proven by millions. The question is whether you have the discipline to follow it. Do not skip a day. Do not skip a morning. Do not skip a night. Every time you read your statement, you are tightening the screws of your resolve. You are building a mental house that no wind of poverty can blow down. You are transmuting the intangible desire into the tangible reality of gold. Follow these steps as if your life depends on them, because the quality of your life assuredly does. Now that you have the plan, let us move to the fuel that keeps the plan alive, which is the principle of faith. We have now defined your desire, and we have written the plan to achieve it, but a plan on a piece of paper is cold and lifeless until you breathe the spirit of life into it. That spirit is the principle of faith. Do not misunderstand the way I am using this word, because I am not speaking of religious faith or a passive hope that things will work out. I am speaking of a dynamic psychological state that you must deliberately create and maintain. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence. It is the only agency through which you can tap into the forces of the universe to bend reality to your will. You may have the most perfect plan in the world, but if you execute that plan with fear or doubt in your heart, you have severed the connection to the power that makes achievement possible. Faith is the art of believing in what you cannot yet see. It is the ability to look at a barren field and see a harvest. It is the ability to look at an empty bank account and see a fortune. It is the refusal to accept the temporary appearance of failure as the final verdict of your life. You must understand that faith is a state of mind that can be induced or created by affirmation or repeated instructions to the subconscious mind through the principle of autosuggestion. This is the great secret that the schools never taught you. They taught you that you either have confidence or you do not, but that is a lie. Faith is a muscle. It is built through repetition. The reason you may lack faith in yourself right now is simply that you have spent years repeating negative affirmations to your own mind. You have told yourself that you are not good enough, that the economy is too hard, that you lack the education, or that the risks are too high. You have repeated these lies so often that your subconscious mind has accepted them as truth. This is what I call faith in reverse. You see, you are already a master of faith. You have absolute, unshakable faith in your limitations. You believe in your inability to succeed with more conviction than you believe in your power to triumph. We are not here to learn a new skill. We are here to reverse the polarity of the skill you are already using. We are going to take that same power of belief and direct it toward what you want, rather than what you fear. Consider the story of Henry Ford to understand the practical application of this law. When Ford decided to produce his famous V8 motor, he chose to build an engine with the entire 8 cylinders cast in one block. He instructed his engineers to produce a design for the engine. The engineers analyzed the request, looked at the laws of physics as they understood them, and told Ford that it was impossible. They said it could not be done. A drifter would have accepted the word of the experts. A drifter would have said that if the smart men say it is impossible, then it must be impossible. But Ford was not a drifter, he was a man of faith. He told them to produce it anyway. 6 months went by and nothing happened. Another 6 months passed and still nothing. The engineers tried every conceivable plan to carry out the orders, but the thing seemed out of the question. At the end of the year, Ford checked with his engineers, and again they informed him they had found no way to do it. Ford stood there looking at the men who relied on logic, and he relied on faith. He said, "Go right ahead and stay on the job until you succeed, no matter how much time is required." And because he held that faith, because he refused to accept the impossible, the secret was finally discovered, and the V8 motor became a reality. The engineers saw the steel and the limitations. Ford saw the finished product and the victory. His faith commanded the result. This is how you must operate. You will face moments when the evidence of your senses tells you that you are failing. Your bank account will show zero, your friends will leave you, your plans will crumble. In those moments, logic will tell you to quit. But faith is the suspension of disbelief. Faith is the voice that says, "I do not care what the scoreboard says right now. I know the final score." You must visualize the attainment of your desire so clearly that you can feel it. This is why the sixth step of gold required you to read your statement aloud and see yourself in possession of the money. You are training your imagination to accept a new reality. When you visualize, you are not just daydreaming. You are creating a blueprint in the ether. You are telling your subconscious mind that this is the standard to which it must adjust your life. The subconscious mind does not argue. It does not ask if you are being realistic. It simply accepts the orders you give it with emotion. If you give it orders of poverty and fear, it will manifest them. If you give it orders of wealth and power, it will move heaven and earth to bring them to you. There is a law of mental vibration that states that like attracts like. A mind dominated by fear transmits a frequency that attracts people, circumstances, and bad luck that harmonize with fear. A mind dominated by faith transmits a frequency that attracts opportunity, resources, and cooperation. You are a broadcasting station. Every minute of every day, you are sending out a signal. If your signal is weak and filled with static doubt, the world will give you a weak and static response. But if your signal is strong, clear, and pulsed with the absolute certainty of faith, the world will organize itself around you. You have felt this when you meet a person of great confidence. They do not have to beg for respect. They command it by their very presence. That is the vibration of faith. It is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the quiet knowing that you are backed by a power greater than yourself. To build this faith, you must begin to act as if you are already the person you wish to become. You cannot wait for the money to arrive before you feel wealthy. You cannot wait for the health to arrive before you feel vital. The feeling must come first. This is the great paradox. The world says, "Let me see it and I will believe it." The law of success says, "Believe it and you will see it." You must walk with the posture of a king before you have the crown. You must speak with the authority of a leader before you have the title. You must make decisions with the swiftness of a millionaire before you have the millions. By doing this, you are proving to your subconscious that you are ready. You are wearing the mental clothes of your future. And eventually, the physical world will catch up to your mental state. It has no choice. It is law. Do not let a day pass without feeding your faith. Fear is a weed that grows without care, but faith is a rare flower that must be watered daily. Water it with your affirmations. Water it with the company of other successful people. Water it by refusing to engage in conversations about failure or lack. Guard your mind like a fortress. If a thought of doubt tries to enter, crush it immediately. Replace it with a thought of certainty. Say to yourself that I am a creator, I am a builder, and I am guided by infinite intelligence. As you practice this, you will feel a shift. You will stop worrying about the how, and you will start trusting in the what. You will stop trying to force doors open, and you will watch them unlock as you approach. This is the power of faith. It is the bridge between the impossible and the possible. Cross that bridge now, and do not look back at the shore of doubt you have left behind. Now that we have the fuel of faith, we must look at the mechanism that directs it, which brings us to the principle of auto-suggestion. We have spoken of the fire of desire and the power of faith, but now we must address the mechanism by which these forces are installed into the deepest part of your being. This brings us to the principle of auto-suggestion. This is the keystone of the arch of success. If you understand this principle, you hold the key to the door of your own mind. If you misunderstand, autosuggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions and all self-administered stimuli which reach one's mind through the five senses. Stated in plain language, it is self-suggestion. It is the agency of communication between that part of the mind where conscious thought takes place and that which serves as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. You must understand that your mind is divided into two distinct levels. There is the conscious mind, which reasons, judges, analyzes, and looks at the world through the lens of logic. It is the guardian at the gate. Then there is the subconscious mind, which is the vast, silent chemical laboratory where thoughts are transmuted into physical reality. The subconscious does not reason. It does not argue. It does not judge right or wrong. It merely accepts what is given to it and works to create it. Here is the tragedy of the average person. The guardian at the gate of their conscious mind is often lazy or asleep. Because they are not vigilant, they allow the negative suggestions of the world to pass through the gate and sink into the subconscious. When you hear the news say the economy is collapsing, and you accept it with fear, you have just given your subconscious a command to expect poverty. When a friend tells you that you look tired or sick and you agree with them, you have just given your subconscious a command to manifest illness. Most people go through their entire lives being hypnotized by the random suggestions of others, never realizing that they have the power to reject those suggestions and plant their own. Autosuggestion is the conscious, deliberate act of taking control of that gate. It is the practice of voluntarily feeding the subconscious mind with thoughts of a creative nature, rather than allowing it to feed upon thoughts of a destructive nature. Nature has so constructed man that he has absolute control over the material which reaches his subconscious mind through his five senses, although this is not to say that man always exercises this control. In the great majority of instances, he does not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. You must view the subconscious mind as a fertile piece of garden spot. If you plant corn, you get corn. If you plant nightshade, you get poison. The soil does not care. It is impartial. It will grow the poison just as abundantly as it will grow the food. Autosuggestion is the tool you use to plant the seeds of your definite chief aim. But here is the secret that separates the masters from the dabbles. Words alone have no influence on the subconscious mind. You can stand in front of a mirror and shout, "I am rich," 1,000 times. And if you do so without emotion, you will remain poor. The subconscious mind is not moved by cold intellect. It is moved only by thoughts that are emotionalized and mixed with feeling. This is why I told you in the previous steps to close your eyes and feel the money in your hands. You must mix the thought with the emotion of faith, or the emotion of desire, or the emotion of gratitude. When a word is mixed with emotion, it changes its vibration. It becomes a psychic command that penetrates the guardian at the gate and goes straight to the seat of power. Think of your subconscious mind as a blind giant that has infinite strength but no direction. Your conscious mind is the captain on the shoulder of that giant. If the captain is silent, the giant will wander aimlessly or be led by the noise of the crowd. But if the captain speaks clearly, with authority and feeling, the giant will tear down walls to obey. You are using autosuggestion right now, whether you know it or not. If you are constantly telling yourself, "I can't remember names," or "I am always late," or "I'm not good at math," you are using autosuggestion to program limitations. You have repeated these lies so often that they have become your truth. Now you must use the same law to deprogram them. You must construct a new identity statement. You must tell yourself, "I am a man of decision. I am a builder of wealth. I am magnetic and powerful." And you must say these things even when your current reality says the opposite. Many people stumble here because they feel like they are lying to themselves. They look at their empty bank account and say, "I cannot say I am wealthy. That is a lie. Listen to me closely." You must lie to the limited version of yourself until the truth catches up. Every great invention was a lie before it became a fact. It did not exist, yet the inventor said it did. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a truth and a lie that is repeated with conviction. If you repeat a lie often enough, you will eventually believe it, and once the subconscious believes it, it will attract the circumstances to make it a fact. This is not self-delusion. This is self-construction. You are rewriting the code of your operating system. If you wait until you are successful to tell yourself you are successful, you will never start. You must claim the title before you wear the crown. The most effective times to practice deliberate autosuggestion are just before you go to sleep at night and just after you wake up in the morning. In these twilight moments, the conscious mind is tired, and the guardian at the gate is drowsy. The door to the subconscious is wide open. This is why you must never, ever go to sleep with a worry on your mind. If you worry yourself to sleep, you are instructing your subconscious to churn on that worry all night long. Instead, you must fall asleep with the picture of your definite chief aim in your mind. You must fall asleep repeating your affirmation. You must let your last conscious thought be a thought of power and gratitude. By doing this, you put your subconscious to work for you while you rest. It will organize your memories, it will connect ideas, and you will wake up with solutions and energy that you did not have the day before. Do not underestimate the power of this simple principle. It is the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. It is the bridge between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. When you sit down to read your written statement of desire, read it with a voice that trembles with authority. Do not mumble. Speak to your own soul. Convince yourself. At first, your mind may rebel. It may say this is foolish. Ignore that voice. That is the voice of your old conditioning trying to survive. Persist. Repeat. Feel. After a week, the rebellion will fade. After a month, you will begin to see opportunities you missed before. After 90 days, you will walk differently, talk differently, and act differently because you will be a different person. You will have installed a new program that runs on the software of success. Your words are not just descriptions of reality. They are the chisels with which you carve reality. Every time you say, I am, you are creating. Stop saying, I am sick, I am tired, I am broke. Start saying, I am growing, I am capable, I am destiny in motion. You are the master of your fate only because you are the master of your speech and your thought. Autosuggestion is your scepter. Pick it up and rule your inner kingdom with an iron hand. If you do not conquer your own mind, you will be conquered by the world. But if you do conquer it, through the disciplined use of this principle, there is no height you cannot climb and no fortune you cannot build. Now that we understand how to program the mind, we must look at what we must put into it, which leads us to the fourth principle of specialized knowledge. We have prepared the soil of the mind with desire, watered it with faith, and planted the seeds with autosuggestion. But now we must discuss the nutrients required for the harvest. This brings us to the fourth principle, which is specialized knowledge. There is a great lie that has been told to you since you were a child, a lie repeated by teachers, parents, and society until you accepted it as gospel. That lie is the phrase, knowledge is power. I am here to tell you that this statement is false. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. A library contains all the knowledge of civilization. Yet a library has no power to build an empire or solve a crisis. It sits there, passive and inert, until a human mind organizes it and puts it to use. Most people go through life confusing instruction with education. They spend years in universities gathering general knowledge, memorizing facts, and collecting degrees, and then they wonder why the world does not bow at their feet. The world does not pay you for what you know. The world pays you for what you do with what you know. To understand this principle, you must redefine what it means to be an educated man. The word educate comes from the Latin word educo, which means to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants, or its equivalent, without violating the rights of others. This is a profound distinction. You can find men with PhDs who are drifting in poverty because they have recorded facts but have never developed the faculty to apply them. Conversely, you can find men with little formal schooling who command industries because they know how to organize thought and action. You must stop gathering knowledge for the sake of vanity and start gathering knowledge for the sake of application. The age of the generalist is over. The man who knows a little bit about everything is the man who competes with everyone. But the man who knows everything about one specific thing is the man who has no competition. Let us look at the most famous example of this truth in American history. During the First World War, a Chicago newspaper published an editorial in which they called Henry Ford an ignorant pacifist, Mr. Ford objected to the statement and brought a suit for libel. When the case came to court, the lawyers for the newspaper tried to prove that Ford was indeed ignorant. They put him on the witness stand and hammered him with questions about history, about mathematics, about who was the youngest general in the Revolutionary War. They tried to humiliate him by exposing his lack of general schooling. Finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line of questioning. He pointed his finger at the lawyer and said that if I should really wish to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men, who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now will you kindly tell me, why should I clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require? The courtroom went silent. That answer floored the lawyer. Everyone in that room realized that this was not the answer of an ignorant man, but of a man of education. Henry Ford understood that his brain was too valuable to be used as a storage unit for trivia. He used his brain as a processing unit for decision and creation. This is the secret of the mastermind combined with specialized knowledge. You do not need to know everything. You only need to know where to find the knowledge when you need it and how to organize it into a plan. Thomas Edison had very little schooling, yet he was the world's greatest inventor because he knew how to surround himself with engineers, chemists, and mathematicians who possessed the specialized knowledge he needed to bring his visions to life. If you are holding back on your dreams because you think you lack the credentials, you are using a drifter's excuse. You can buy knowledge, you can hire knowledge, you can partner with knowledge, but you cannot buy the desire and the will to organize it. That must come from you. However, do not mistake this for permission to be lazy. While you can outsource technical details, you must become a master in your chosen field. If you desire riches, you must select the specific channel through which you will accumulate them, and then you must become a student of that channel for the rest of your life. The market fluctuates. Technology changes. Consumer needs evolve. If you stop learning the moment you leave school, you are already obsolete. The man who wins is the man who studies his craft while others are sleeping. He reads the trade journals, he attends the seminars, he analyzes the trends. He acquires specialized knowledge that is not available to the general public. This specialized knowledge gives him an edge. It allows him to see opportunities that the generalist misses. It allows him to solve problems that others find impossible. And because he solves expensive problems, he receives a high reward. Here is your instruction for applying this principle. You must first decide upon your definite chief aim. Once that aim is clear, you must make a list of the specialized knowledge required to achieve it. Ask yourself what you need to know to be the best in the world at this specific thing. Then, ask yourself if you need to acquire this knowledge yourself, or if you can acquire it through an alliance with others. If you need to acquire it yourself, you must set aside a specific time every single day for study. I recommend 1 hour a day. If you study your field for 1 hour a day, in 5 years, you will have studied for over 1,800 hours. That is enough to make you a national expert in almost any subject. Most people will not do this. They are too busy watching television or socializing. This is your advantage. While they drift, you dig. While they are entertained, you are educated. You must also understand that knowledge must be organized. It is not enough to read books. You must take what you read and ask how this applies to my plan. How does this solve my problem? You must synthesize the information. A pile of bricks is not a house, and a pile of facts is not wisdom. You are the architect who must take the bricks of knowledge and build the structure of success. Do not be afraid to start at the bottom if it means you can acquire the knowledge you need. Many of the greatest leaders started as apprentices. They swept floors, they carried messages, they did the dirty work, but they did it with their eyes open. They were observing. They were learning the specialized operations of the business from the inside out. They were paid little in money, but they were paid a fortune in knowledge. And when the opportunity came to rise, they were ready because they knew the machine better than the men who owned it. So, cast aside the inferiority complex that comes from a lack of degrees. Cast aside the fear that you do not know enough. You have access to all the knowledge of the world. The only question is whether you have the definite purpose to select what you need and the organized plan to put it to use. Do not be a walking encyclopedia of useless facts. Be a laser beam of specialized application. Focus your mind on one problem, one industry, one service, and master it so completely that the world has no choice but to pay you your price. Knowledge is only power when it is organized, and the one who organizes it is the one who rules. Now that we have the fuel of desire, the belief of faith, the program of auto-suggestion, and the materials of specialized knowledge, we need a workshop in which to assemble them. That workshop is the fifth principle, the faculty of imagination. We have gathered the raw materials for your success. You have the burning desire, the unshakable faith, the programmed subconscious, and the specialized knowledge. But a pile of bricks, wood, and steel does not make a building, and a head full of facts does not make a fortune. You need a place to assemble these elements into a structure that the world will recognize and value. That place is the fifth principle, the faculty of imagination. It is the workshop of the mind. It is the only place in the universe where the intangible forces of thought are forged into the tangible realities of gold. I tell you now that imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, and inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. It is the one faculty that allows you to penetrate the veil of the unknown and bring back solutions that logic could never find. The great leaders of business, industry, finance, and the great artists, musicians, poets, and writers became great because they developed the faculty of creative imagination. You must understand that imagination is not mere daydreaming. It is not sitting idly and wishing for a better life. That is the misuse of the faculty. True imagination is a disciplined, active, and muscular process. It functions in two distinct forms, and you must master both if you wish to rise above the level of mediocrity. The first form is what I call synthetic imagination. This involves the arranging of old concepts, old ideas, or old plans into new combinations. This faculty creates nothing new. It merely works with the material of experience, education, and observation with which it has been fed. This is the form of imagination used by the inventor who does not create a new principle of physics, but combines existing mechanical laws to create a new machine. It is the imagination used by the businessman who takes a product that sells well in one industry and adapts it to sell in another. Do not underestimate this. Most of the great fortunes of the world have been built using synthetic imagination. It is the ability to see a connection where others see separation. The second form is creative imagination. This is the higher faculty. This is the direct link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. It is the faculty through which hunches and inspiration are received. It is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are handed over to man. It is through this faculty that one individual may tune in or communicate with the subconscious minds of other men. This faculty functions only when the conscious mind is stimulating itself through the emotion of a strong desire. The great geniuses of history, the Beethovens, the Edisons, the Einsteins, did not rely solely on what they learned in books. They relied on their ability to quiet the noise of the world and listen to the whispers of the creative imagination. When you are stuck, when logic fails, when the path is blocked, it is the creative imagination that flies over the wall and hands you the key. Let us look at a case study that proves the immense monetary value of an idea born in the imagination. Years ago, an old country doctor drove to town, tied his horse, and went into a drugstore. He began bargaining with the young clerk. For 1 hour they talked. Finally, the doctor went out to his buggy and brought back a large, old-fashioned kettle and a wooden paddle. He sold them to the clerk for $500, which was the clerk's entire life savings. The doctor also handed the clerk a small slip of paper with a secret formula on it. To the doctor, the kettle was just a kettle. He was happy to get the money to pay his debts. But the young clerk, whose name was Asa Candler, was buying much more than a kettle. He was buying an idea. He took that formula, which the doctor had been using for headaches, and he mixed it in that kettle. But he added the one ingredient the doctor did not have. He added imagination. He imagined that this dark syrup could be more than a medicine. He imagined it could be a refreshing drink that would be sold in every town, every city, and every nation on earth. That drink was Coca-Cola. The kettle, the paddle, and the formula were worth a few dollars. But the idea that Candler mixed with them generated a fortune that is now too vast to comprehend. What did Candler add? He added the picture of the product in the hands of millions. He added the marketing. He added the distribution. He used his imagination to turn a headache cure into a global empire. This is the power you hold in your hands, but you must exercise it. The imagination is like a muscle. If you do not use it, it will atrophy and become weak. It does not die, but it goes into a deep sleep. Most people let their imagination sleep for their entire adult lives. They accept life as it is presented to them. They see a problem and say there is no solution. They see a limit and say, I cannot go further. You must wake up this sleeping giant. You must begin to challenge every limitation you see. If you are in business, ask yourself how you can combine your service with another to create more value. If you are an employee, ask yourself how you can do your job in a way that saves your employer money or time. Do not wait to be told what to do. Use your imagination to create a new way of doing it. Look at the story of the Wright brothers. They were bicycle mechanics. They knew about gears and chains and wheels. But they looked at the birds and used their imagination to ask a question that defied all the logic of their time. They asked if a machine could fly like a bird. The greatest scientists of the day said it was impossible. The laws of physics as they were understood said that a heavier-than-air machine could not sustain flight. But the Wright brothers did not listen to the facts. They listened to their imagination. They visualized the plane. They built it in the workshop of their minds before they built it in the workshop of their hands. They crashed. They failed. They were mocked. But the image in their mind was stronger than the gravity of the earth. And because they refused to let go of that image, today we cross oceans in hours. Every time you board a plane, you are stepping inside the materialized imagination of two bicycle mechanics who refuse to be reasonable. So how do you apply this? You must carve out time to visit the workshop of your mind every single day. You cannot be creative while you are rushing through traffic or answering emails. You must find solitude. Sit in a quiet room. Close your eyes. Present your problem to your mind and then wait. Do not force the answer. Let your mind play with the problem. Visualize it from different angles. Ask yourself, what if I did the opposite of what everyone else is doing? Ask yourself, what if I combined this idea with that idea? Watch the screen of your mind. You will be surprised at what appears. Ideas will flash into your mind. Plans will unfold. But here is the warning. An idea is a fragile thing. It is like a newborn baby. It cannot survive on its own. You must nurse it. You must protect it. You must act on it. Most people kill their ideas because they are afraid of criticism. They share their imaginative thought with a friend who laughs at them, and they let the idea die. Do not do this. When the workshop of your mind hands you a diamond, do not throw it in the mud. Polish it. Plan for it. Remember that wealth is not found in the manufacturing of the product alone. Wealth is found in the imagination that defines the need for the product. The man who works hard with his hands but not his imagination will always be a laborer. The man who works with his imagination will employ the man who works with his hands. You must decide which man you will be. You can continue to do things the way they have always been done, and you will get the results that have always been gotten. Or you can enter the workshop, lock the door, and invent a new destiny. The only limitation is the one you set up in your own mind. Nature has not placed a ceiling on how much you can imagine. She has not placed a quota on how many ideas you can have. The supply is infinite. The source is eternal. The workshop is open 24 hours a day. Now that you understand that everything created by man begins in the form of an impulse of thought, you realize that your current reality, your bank account, your career, your life is simply the result of the imagination you have used or failed to use in the past. If you want to change the result, you must change the blueprint in the workshop. You must imagine a bigger life before you can live it. You must see the structure of your success standing tall and finished. Once you have that clear image, once the workshop has produced the blueprint, you cannot let it sit there. You must take that blueprint and hand it to the builders. You must convert the mental image into a physical plan. This leads us directly to the sixth principle, which is the method of organized execution. But never forget, before the plan comes the picture, and the picture is born in the workshop of the mind. Pause for a moment. We are approaching the realm of action. We have discussed the mind, the desire, and the imagination. Now we must cross the bridge into the physical world of planning and execution. But before we cross, I must ask you a question. Are you walking this path alone? You have learned that no mind grows great in isolation. To build a fortune, you need an alliance. Consider this channel, your digital sanctuary, your weekly mastermind alliance. We are building a legion of the top 2% right here, men and women who refuse to drift. If you are committed to this journey, not just interested, but truly committed to mastering your destiny, then make your first micro-commitment right now. Click the subscribe button. Do not do it for me. Do it as a signal to your own subconscious mind that you are aligning yourself with this frequency of success. Join us. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a lesson in these laws. Now, having joined the alliance, let us take your vision from the clouds and build a foundation under it. Let us proceed to the sixth principle, organized planning. We have now reached the point where the rubber meets the road. You have ignited the fire of desire. You have fueled it with faith. You have programmed your subconscious mind. You have gathered the necessary knowledge, and you have built the blueprint in the workshop of your imagination. But now, you must leave the workshop and step onto the construction site. This is the sixth principle, organized planning. It is the crystallization of desire into action. This is the bridge between the invisible world of thought and the visible world of things. Without this bridge, your dreams are merely hallucinations. You must understand that everything created by man begins in the form of a thought, but it cannot remain a thought if it is to become a fortune. It must be transmuted through a definite, practical, and organized plan. The man who acts without a plan is like a ship without a rudder. He may have a powerful engine, he may have a skilled crew, but he will only sail in circles until he runs out of fuel or crashes into the rocks. You must accept the reality that you are an architect of your own destiny, but no architect starts building without a set of drawings. A plan is not a constraint, it is a liberation. It frees you from the chaos of indecision. It frees you from the anxiety of not knowing what to do next. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack a system. They wake up in the morning and react to the world. They check their messages. They answer calls. They put out fires. They are busy, yes, but they are not productive. They are drifting on the currents of other. The successful man wakes up and looks at his plan. He knows exactly what he must do today to move one step closer to his definite chief aim. He does not negotiate with the day. He commands it. His plan serves as his shield against distraction. When the world tries to pull him off course, he points to the plan and says that he is occupied with high-priority business. Do not make the mistake of thinking that your plan must be perfect from the start. This is the paralysis of perfectionism. No plan is perfect. The greatest generals in history knew that no battle plan survives the first contact with the enemy, but they did not go into battle without one. When you put your plan into action, you will meet resistance. You will face temporary defeat. This is not a sign that you should quit. It is a sign that your plan needs revision. If your first plan fails, replace it with a new plan. If that new plan fails, replace it with a third. Continue this process until you find a plan that works. This is the point at which the majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those that fail. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent light bulb. That means he had 10,000 plans that did not work. He did not say he was a failure. He said he had not yet found the plan that worked. He kept adjusting until nature yielded its secret. You must have that same flexibility. Be stubborn about your goal, but be flexible about your methods. Let us look at a practical example of the power of organized planning. Consider the story of Charles M. Schwab, one of the titans of the steel industry. He was a man who understood that activity is not achievement. One day, he hired a consultant named Ivy Lee to help him increase the efficiency of his executive team. Lee told him that he did not need more time. He needed a better plan. He gave Schwab a simple instruction. He said that at the end of each day, Write down the 6 most important things you must accomplish tomorrow. Then, number them in order of their true importance. When you arrive in the morning, begin with number 1 and work on it until it is finished. Then move to number 2. Do not worry if you do not finish them all. Worry only about working on the most important one. Lee told Schwab to try this for as long as he liked and then send him a check for whatever he thought the advice was worth. A few weeks later, Schwab sent Lee a check for $25,000. That simple plan turned a chaotic organization into a disciplined machine. That is the power of organized planning. It forces you to prioritize. It forces you to focus your energy on the vital few rather than the trivial many. You must also understand that organized planning is not a solitary activity. This brings us back to the mastermind principle. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Your plan must be vetted by others. You must sit down with your mastermind alliance and lay your plan on the table. Let them poke holes in it. Let them challenge your assumptions. A plan that looks perfect in your own head may have fatal flaws that you cannot see because of your emotional attachment. Your alliance will see what you miss. They will add their specialized knowledge to yours. When you execute a plan that has been refined by the collective wisdom of a mastermind group, you are moving with the strength of an army, rather than the strength of a single soldier. Furthermore, organized planning applies to the sale of your personal services. Most of you are selling your time, your skill, or your ideas. To do this successfully, you must adopt the QQS formula. This stands for quality, quantity, and spirit of service. Your plan must account for all three. Quality implies the performance of every detail of your position in the most efficient manner possible. Quantity means the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable at all times. But the third element, the spirit of service, is the most important. You may have a great plan, you may do high-quality work, you may do a lot of it, but if you do it with a disagreeable spirit, if you are arrogant, if you are greedy, if you are difficult to work with, your plan will fail. The spirit in which you render service determines the cooperation you receive from others. A pleasing personality is part of the plan. You must plan to be the kind of person people want to see succeed. Let me give you a warning. There is a silent enemy to organized planning, and that enemy is the habit of procrastination disguised as research. Many people spend their entire lives planning to start. They buy the notebooks, they attend the seminars, they write the mission statements, but they never pull the trigger. They are hiding behind the planning process because they are afraid of the action process. A plan is not a destination, it is a departure point. A mediocre plan violently executed today is far better than a perfect plan executed next week. You must build action triggers into your plan. Do not just write, "Start business." Write, "Call 3 prospects by 9:00 a.m. Make the steps so small and so actionable that you cannot fail to take them. Momentum is the key. Once the train is moving, it is hard to stop. But getting it moving requires a burst of concentrated energy. Your plan must provide that focus. So here is your instruction. Do not go to sleep tonight until you have written down your plan for tomorrow. Do not let it be vague. Be specific. What are the 3 things that, if accomplished, would make the day a success? Write them down. Commit to them. And when you wake up, attack the first one with everything you have. Do this for 30 days. And you will see a transformation in your life that will astound you. You will stop being a leaf in the wind, and you will become an arrow flying toward a target. You will gain a sense of power and control that the drifter never knows. You will see your desire crystallizing into action right before your eyes. And as you execute your plan, you will inevitably come to a fork in the road where you must make a hard choice. This leads us directly to the 7th principle, the mastery of decision. You have built your plan and you are ready to execute it, but there is a harsh reality that you must face before you step into the marketplace. The world does not pay you for your needs. The world does not pay you for your grand ambitions or your detailed blueprints. The world pays you for one thing and one thing only, and that is service rendered. The law of compensation is as exact as the law of gravity. You get out exactly what you put in, no more and no less. To ensure that you are putting in the maximum value, you must master the formula that governs all personal success and financial accumulation. I call this the QQS formula. It stands for quality, quantity, and spirit of service. You may have the greatest plan in history, but if you fail in any one of these three variables, your plan will collapse. You must memorize this formula. You must write it on the tablet of your heart. You must make it the daily standard by which you measure your output. If you are an employee, this is how you become indispensable. If you are a business owner, this is how you dominate your industry. Let us dissect these three pillars with the precision of a surgeon because your fortune depends on them. The first Q stands for quality of service. This is not merely doing the job. This implies the performance of every detail of your position in the most efficient manner possible, with the object of greater efficiency always in mind. Quality is the rejection of good enough. The average man does just enough to not get fired. The average business delivers a product that is just good enough to not get returned. That is the path to mediocrity. Quality means that you are constantly studying your craft to find a better way. If you are a writer, you are sweating over every word. If you are a salesman, you are refining your pitch until it sings. If you are a leader, you are sharpening your strategy until it cuts through the noise. Quality is the habit of mastery. It is the decision that your name will be synonymous with excellence. When you deliver quality, you are telling the marketplace that you respect yourself and you respect the person receiving your service. You are building a reputation, and a reputation for excellence is an asset that is worth more than gold. You must ask yourself at the end of every day if the work I did today represents the absolute best of my ability. If the answer is no, you are stealing from your own future. The second Q stands for quantity of service. This is the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable at all times. This brings us to the principle of going the extra mile. Most people have a transactional mindset. They say, I will do exactly what I am paid to do and not one bit more. They watch the clock. They guard their energy. They think they are being smart, but they are being foolish. They are violating the law of increasing returns. Quantity means you do more than you are paid for. You arrive earlier. You stay later. You take on the tasks that others refuse. You solve problems that are not in your job description. Why would you do this? Because this is how you put the universe in your debt. When you consistently deliver more value than you are receiving in cash, the pendulum of compensation must swing back to you. It may come in the form of a promotion, a new client, or a sudden opportunity, but it must come. If you restrict your quantity, you restrict your income. You cannot expect a harvest if you only plant half the field. You must drown the world in value. You must overwhelm your customers with service. You must be so productive that you become a force of nature in your industry. Now we arrive at the S, the spirit of service. Listen to me closely, because this is where the majority of brilliant men and women fail. You can have the highest quality work in the world. You can deliver it in massive quantities. But if you deliver it with a bad spirit, you will fail. The spirit of service implies a pleasing, agreeable personality that induces cooperation from others. I have seen men of great genius who were arrogant, selfish, and difficult to work with. They produced incredible work, but nobody wanted to be around them. They repelled opportunity because their vibration was offensive. Eventually, they were bypassed by men of lesser talent but greater spirit. The human element cannot be ignored. People do not just buy products, they buy the energy of the person selling the product. If your spirit is greedy, if you are constantly asking what is in it for me, people will sense it, and they will recoil. But if your spirit is one of genuine helpfulness, if you approach every interaction with a desire to serve, if you are agreeable and optimistic, you become a magnet. Think of the spirit of service as the oil in the engine. Quality and quantity are the pistons and the gears. They provide the power. But without the oil of a pleasing spirit, the friction will destroy the machine. The heat of conflict will seize up the engine of your success. You must cultivate a voice that is pleasant to hear. You must cultivate a face that smiles. You must cultivate a disposition that looks for the good in others. This is not about being fake. It is about being harmonious. Infinite intelligence flows through the path of least resistance, and a harmonious spirit removes all resistance. When you combine high quality, massive quantity, and a beautiful spirit, you become unstoppable. You become the person everyone wants to hire, everyone wants to partner with, and everyone wants to follow. You effectively eliminate your competition because most people are failing in at least one of these areas. Some have quality but are lazy. Some work hard but produce junk. Some work hard and produce quality but are miserable to be around. The master combines all three. Let me give you a practical way to apply this formula starting today. You must appoint yourself as your own harsh critic. Every evening, before you look at your plan for tomorrow, look back at your performance today and grade yourself on the QQS scale. Ask yourself about quality. Did I make errors? Was I sloppy? Could I have been more precise? Grade yourself honestly. Then ask about quantity. Did I waste time? Did I do the bare minimum? Did I go the extra mile? Did I produce a volume of work that justifies a higher income? Finally, ask yourself about spirit. How did I treat people today? Was I irritable? Was I defensive? Did I complain? Or was I a source of light and encouragement? Did I serve with joy? This daily audit will reveal the cracks in your foundation before they bring down the house. It will force you to improve. It will strip away your ego and show you the truth of your value. You must understand that money is nothing more than the echo of value. If you want a louder echo, you must shout a louder sound of value. The QQS formula is how you amplify that sound. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing but the opportunity to prove your worth. If you are not where you want to be financially, do not blame the economy. Do not blame the government. Do not blame your boss. Look at your QQS. Somewhere in that formula you are deficient. Perhaps your work is sloppy. Perhaps you are not working hard enough. Or perhaps, and this is most likely, your attitude is repelling your wealth. The moment you take responsibility for your QQS is the moment you take control of your bank account. This formula is the great equalizer. It does not care about your race, your gender, or your background. It only cares about the service you render. If you render great service, you will receive great rewards. It is the law. Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, all of them were masters of this formula. They served the masses with high quality, in huge quantities, and they built teams with a spirit that conquered the world. You are now standing on their shoulders. You have the plan from the previous principle. Now you have the metric to measure your execution. Go out and serve. Serve with excellence. Serve with abundance. Serve with joy. And watch as the gates of abundance swing open for you. But be warned, as you begin to execute with this level of intensity, you will come to moments where you must choose between comfort and progress. This leads us to the seventh principle, the mastery of decision. We have spent time building the engine of your success. You have the fuel of desire, the map of planning, and the formula for service. But now we arrive at the ignition switch. Without this switch, the engine remains cold and silent. This brings us to the seventh principle, the mastery of decision. I tell you with the weight of 25 years of research behind me that the lack of decision is the #1 cause of failure. When I analyzed the lives of over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure, the lack of decision was near the head of the list. This is not a theory, it is a statistical fact. Procrastination, the opposite of decision, is a common enemy which practically every person must conquer. If you do not conquer it, it will conquer you. It will steal your time, it will drain your energy, and it will leave you standing on the dock while the ship of opportunity sails away. You must understand that procrastination is not a harmless habit. It is a form of paralysis. It is the refusal to accept the responsibility of your own life. It is the drifter's favorite alibi. Let us examine the psychology of the successful versus the unsuccessful. Analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly, if and when they were changed. People who fail to accumulate money, without exception, have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly, and of changing these decisions quickly and often. Do you see the difference? The successful man trusts his own mind. He gathers the facts, he consults his mastermind, and then he strikes. He cuts off all debate. The word decision comes from the Latin root decidere, which means to cut off. When you make a real decision, you cut off the possibility of any other outcome. You cut off the exit routes. You cut off the retreat. The unsuccessful man does the opposite. He listens to the opinions of others. He waits for a sign. He waits for the perfect condition. He makes a tentative decision, but the moment he faces a little resistance, he changes his mind. He is like a leaf blowing in the wind, governed by the opinions of his neighbors and the fears of the moment. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are, generally, easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by opinions when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking, much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. You must learn to keep your own counsel. You have a brain and a mind of your own. Use it and reach your own decisions. If you need facts or information from other people to enable you to reach decisions, as you probably will in many instances, acquire these facts or secure the information quietly without disclosing your purpose. The moment you open your mouth and tell the world what you intend to do before you have done it, you weaken your resolve, and you invite criticism that will plant the seeds of doubt in your subconscious. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Deeds and not words are what count most. Let us look at the greatest example of decision in American history to understand the stakes involved. Go back in your imagination to Philadelphia, July 1776. 56 men sat in a room. They were debating whether to sign a document that would declare freedom from the British Empire. This was not a casual meeting. Every man in that room knew that if he signed that document and the revolution failed, he would be hunted down and hanged for treason. The penalty for that decision was death. For days they debated. Fear whispered in their ears. Logic told them they could not win against the greatest army on earth. But then, one by one, they stopped listening to fear and they started listening to destiny. They picked up the quill and they signed. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. That decision gave birth to a nation. It gave birth to freedom. It proved that a definite decision, backed by the willingness to die for it, is more powerful than any army. Now ask yourself what you are afraid of deciding today. You are not facing the gallows. You are not facing treason charges. You are facing a little discomfort. You are facing the possibility of embarrassment. If those 56 men could risk their lives for freedom, surely you can risk your ego for your dreams. Indecision is usually a specific form of fear. It is the fear of being wrong. But I tell you that it is better to be wrong with boldness than to be right with hesitation. If you make a wrong decision, you can correct it. You can learn from it. You can adjust your course. But if you make no decision, you learn nothing. You stagnate. The universe rewards movement. When you make a decision, you send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind that you are in charge. You break the hypnotic rhythm of drifting. Procrastination is the thief of time, but decision is the master of time. The man of decision creates time because he does not waste mental energy worrying about what to do. He decides, and then he acts. This clarity releases a tremendous amount of energy that was previously bound up in anxiety. You must stop waiting for the right time. The right time will never appear. The conditions will never be perfect. If you wait for all the lights to turn green before you leave the house, you will never leave the driveway. You must start where you are and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. This is the law of the harvest. You cannot harvest if you do not plant, and you cannot plant if you are standing at the edge of the field wondering if it is going to rain. You must decide to plant. You must decide to work. You must decide that you are the master of your fate. Every morning when you wake up, you are faced with 1,000 small decisions. Do I get up or hit snooze? Do I eat this or that? Do I make the call or put it off? These small decisions accumulate to form the trajectory of your life. The master of success trains himself to make these small decisions instantly and in alignment with his major purpose. He does not negotiate with himself. Here is a practical drill to strengthen your decision-making muscle. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice the 60-second rule. Whenever you are faced with a minor decision, force yourself to make it within 60 seconds. Do not agonize over the menu at the restaurant. Do not debate which shirt to wear. Do not hesitate to send the email. Decide, choose, act. By doing this, you are training your brain to trust its first instinct. You are training yourself to be a man or woman of action. As you master the small decisions, you will find that the big decisions become easier. You will develop a reputation as someone who knows what they want, and the world steps aside for the man who knows where he is going. The procrastination habit is deep-seated because it protects you from the pain of effort, but it exposes you to the pain of regret. You must decide which pain you prefer. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Look at the projects you have been putting off. Look at the conversations you have been avoiding. Look at the dreams you have shelved. They are draining your battery. Every undecided matter in your life is a leak in your energy system. Close the loops, make the call, send the letter, launch the product, quit the job, start the business. Whatever it is, decide. Even if you decide not to do it, that is a decision that frees you. The worst place to be is in the middle, suspended in the purgatory of maybe. The ultimate decision you must make is the decision to burn your bridges. I spoke of this in the first principle, but it bears repeating here. You must structure your life so that you have no choice but to succeed. When you have a safety net, you will use it. When you have no safety net, you will learn to fly. This requires courage, yes, but courage is simply the result of a decision to value your future more than your fear. You must decide that you are willing to pay the price, and remember, the price of success must be paid in full, in advance. Procrastination is the attempt to negotiate that price. It is the attempt to get something for nothing. But nature does not bargain. You either pay or you do not receive. So today, I challenge you to look at your life and identify the one major decision you have been avoiding. You know what it is. It has been whispering in the back of your mind for months or years. Bring it to the front, look it in the eye, and decide. Do not say, "I will think about it." You have thought about it enough. Thinking without acting is just dreaming. Decide. Write it down. Tell someone. Take the first step. The moment you make that decision, the entire universe shifts to support you. Resources appear, people appear, strength appears. But none of it happens until you cut the cord of hesitation. You are the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your own time. Do not sentence yourself to a life of waiting. Sentence yourself to a life of action. Now that you have decided to move, you will need the strength to keep moving when the road gets rough. This brings us to the 8th principle, the sustained effort known as persistence. We have made the decision. We have cut off the retreat. But now we face the reality of the journey. The road to riches is not a straight line. It is a winding path filled with obstacles, resistance, and temporary defeat. This is where the majority of men and women collapse. They have the desire, they have the plan, and they even make the decision to start. But when the first wind of adversity blows, they fold. This brings us to the 8th principle, which is persistence. Persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of will. Willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. Men who accumulate great fortunes are generally known as cold-blooded and sometimes ruthless. Often they are misunderstood. What they have is willpower, which they mix with persistence and place back of their desires to ensure the attainment of their objectives. You must understand that persistence is the great filter of the universe. I believe there is a silent guide that tests every human being before handing them the crown of success. This silent guide places hurdles in your path, not to stop you, but to test the quality of your mettle. If you turn back at the first sign of opposition, the guide marks you as unworthy and closes the door to the vault. But if you get up, wipe the dust from your face, and continue to move forward despite the pain, the guide steps aside and says that you may pass. There is no substitute for persistence. It cannot be supplanted by any other quality. Talent will not do it. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not do it. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not do it. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Let us look at the story of R.U. Darby to understand the tragic cost of quitting too soon. During the gold rush, Darby went west to dig for gold. He staked a claim and went to work with a pick and shovel. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of the shining ore. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. He covered up the mine, returned home, and raised the money from his neighbors. They bought the machinery and shipped it to the mine. The first car of ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear the debts. Then would come the big killing and profits. Down went the drills. Up went the hopes of Darby and his uncle. Then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to a junk man for a few $100s and took the train back home. The junk man, however, was not a drifter. He called in a mining engineer to look at the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer checked the mine and calculated that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. 3 feet! The junk man took millions of dollars in ore from that mine because he knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up R.U. Darby returned home, paid back his neighbors, and learned the lesson of his life. He went on to become a phenomenally successful insurance salesman because every time a customer said no, he said to himself that he stopped 3 feet from gold. And he would never stop because men say no when he asks them to buy insurance. He transmuted his failure into persistence. How many of you are standing 3 feet from your gold right now? You have started a business and it is hard. You have launched a channel and the views are low. You have written a book and the publishers are silent. And you are thinking of quitting. You are thinking of selling your machinery to the junk man. I am here to tell you that the darkest hour is always just before the dawn. This is a law of nature. Resistance always peaks right before the breakthrough. If you quit now, you are leaving your fortune on the table for someone else to claim. The only failure is the failure to continue. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It only means that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans. Start all over again. Defeat is a signal that the universe is forcing you to refine your strategy. It is not a stop sign. It is a detour sign. You must analyze your own persistence. Are you a fair-weather sailor? Can you only sail when the sea is calm and the wind is at your back? Any fool can sail in good weather. The master captain is revealed in the storm. Persistence is a state of mind, therefore it can be cultivated. It is based upon definite causes. These include definiteness of purpose, self-reliance, definiteness of plans, accurate knowledge, cooperation, willpower, and habit. Fear is a habit. Quitting is a habit. But persistence is also a habit. You build it by refusing to quit in small things. When you start a book, finish it. When you start a workout, finish it. When you make a promise, keep it. Every time you finish what you start, you are depositing equity into your persistence account. There are 4 simple steps which lead to the habit of persistence. They call for no great amount of intelligence, no particular amount of education, and but little time or effort. The necessary steps are these. First, a definite purpose backed by burning desire. You must want it so bad that the pain of quitting hurts more than the pain of continuing. Second, a definite plan, expressed in continuous action. Note the word continuous, not sporadic, not once in a while. Continuous action keeps the momentum alive. Third, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including the negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. This is where most people die. They let the criticism of small minds penetrate their armor. You must be deaf to those who say it cannot be done. And fourth, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. This is the mastermind again. When your fire burns low, you need others to lend you their flame. The fear of criticism is the primary destroyer of persistence. The majority of people permit relatives, friends, and the public at large to so influence them that they cannot live their own lives because they fear criticism. They suspect that their actions may be judged as foolish, so they do nothing. They wait, they drift, and they die with their song still in them. You must decide today that the opinion of others is none of your business. Your business is your definite chief aim. History does not remember the critics. History remembers the man who persisted. Washington persisted at Valley Forge. Lincoln persisted through failure after failure. Wright persisted through mockery. They are immortal because they refuse to accept the verdict of the world. Persistence is the direct agency for inducing faith. You cannot have faith if you have a habit of quitting. The subconscious mind watches you. If it sees you quitting every time things get hard, it labels you a quitter and it will sabotage your efforts. But if it sees you getting up again and again, it begins to believe that you are unstoppable. It begins to marshal the forces of the universe to aid you. This is why I say that persistence induces faith. It proves to your own soul that you are serious. It is the down payment on success. Without it, you are starting the race with a flat tire. With it, you can outlast men of superior talent and superior luck. So here is your command. Adopt the philosophy of no 0 days. Never let a day pass without striking a blow for your purpose. If you are tired, do a little. If you are energetic, do a lot, but never do nothing. The chain of persistence must remain unbroken. If you break the chain, you start from zero. Do not allow yourself the luxury of excuses. I am too tired is an excuse. I am too old is an excuse. I do not have the money is an excuse. Persistence finds a way. If you cannot go over the mountain, go under it. If you cannot go under it, go around it. If you cannot go around it, tunnel through it. But do not stand at the foot of the mountain and cry that it is too high. The mountain is there to make you strong. The resistance is there to make you grow. As you build this habit, you will notice a change in how the world treats you. People will begin to step aside. They will respect the man who does not stop. Opportunities will seek you out. The silent guide will nod in approval and open the gates, but you must pass the test. You must stay in the ring until the final bell. You must determine that you will be the last man standing. Persistence is not just a tool. It is your insurance policy against failure. It guarantees that even if you lose the battle, you will win the war. Now that we have the power to keep going, we must look at how to multiply that power by leveraging the minds of others. This leads us to the 9th principle, the power of the mastermind. We have spent the last hour building the individual. We have forged your desire, hardened your resolve, organized your plan, and strengthened your persistence. If you stopped here, you would be a formidable force, but you would still be limited. You would be limited by the hours in a day, by the energy in your body, and by the scope of your own experience. To break through the ceiling of individual limitation, you must unlock the 9th principle, the power of the mastermind. I must shatter a myth that has held you back for too long. The myth of the self-made man is a lie. There is no such thing as a self-made man. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. If you think you can build an empire alone, you are operating with an ego that will eventually destroy you. Great power is never acquired by one man acting alone. Power is organized effort, sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of 2 or more people who work toward a definite end, in a spirit of harmony. You must understand the psychic phase of this principle because it is the secret that explains why certain groups of men seem to possess a magical touch. When 2 or more minds are brought together in a spirit of perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose, a third mind is created. This third mind is an invisible, intangible force that hovers above the group. It is a separate intelligence that is greater than the sum of the parts. Think of the chemistry of a battery. A single electric battery will provide a small amount of energy. If you link a dozen batteries together, the power is multiplied, not just added. The human brain is a form of battery. It is a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. When you connect your brain with the brains of other high-frequency individuals, you are tapping into a universal battery of energy. You will find that ideas flow into your mind that you did not generate yourself. You will find courage that you did not possess alone. You will find solutions that were invisible to you in isolation. This is the mastermind in action. It is the mechanism by which you borrow the education, the experience, the influence, and the capital of other people to carry out your own plans. Let us look at the man who taught me this principle, Andrew Carnegie. He was one of the wealthiest men the world has ever known, yet he knew very little about the technical making of steel. He did not know chemistry. He did not know engineering. He did not know the mechanics of the blast furnace. What he knew was men. He knew how to surround himself with a group of men who did know these things. He had a mastermind alliance of approximately 50 men who constituted his brain trust. These men were giants in their respective fields. Carnegie's genius was his ability to keep these men working in perfect harmony toward a definite purpose. He harnessed their minds and directed their collective power into the steel industry. He openly stated that he could have lost his entire fortune, his factories, and his reputation, but if he still had his mastermind group, he could rebuild it all in less than 4 years. He understood that the factories were just tools, but the mastermind was the source of the power. You must analyze your own circle of influence right now. There is an old saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not a cliquis. It is a law of mental vibration. If you surround yourself with drifters, complainers, and people with no ambition, their low-frequency vibration will act as a drag on your mind. You will find yourself exhausted, cynical, and stuck. You cannot fly with eagles if you are scratching around with turkeys. If you are the smartest person in your room, you are in the wrong room. You must actively seek out an alliance with people who challenge you, who intimidate you slightly, and who force you to level up. This alliance is not just a social gathering. It is not a place to gossip or drink or complain about the government. It is a strategic partnership. It requires a definite purpose. You must meet regularly. You must be brutally honest. You must hold each other accountable. And most importantly, there must be harmony. If there is friction, jealousy, or competition within the group, the third mind cannot form. The connection is broken. The power dissipates. There is another form of the mastermind that is often overlooked, but is perhaps the most powerful of all. That is the alliance between a man and a woman. If you are married or in a partnership, you have a built-in mastermind, but most people fail to use it. They live in friction. They live in silence. They live as roommates rather than allies. When a man and a woman align their energy toward a common goal, when they support each other with absolute faith and harmony, they create a domestic mastermind that makes them invincible in the outer world. History is filled with men who rose to greatness because they had a woman at home who believed in them when the world did not. Henry Ford's wife believed in his gasoline engine when even his own father thought he was crazy. She was his first investor. She was his mastermind. If your home life is a war zone, you cannot expect to conquer the marketplace. You must bring harmony to your home first. You must enroll your partner in your vision. If you cannot do that, you are dragging a heavy anchor that will slow your progress no matter how hard you row. Do not think that you need to start with 50 men like Carnegie. Start with one. Find one person who shares your hunger, one person who vibrates at your level. Form a pact with them. Agree to meet once a week for an hour to discuss nothing but your goals and your progress. In that hour, leave your ego at the door. Share your fears. Share your plans. Ask for feedback. When you do this, you will feel a shift in your energy. You will leave that meeting feeling invincible. You will realize that you are not alone. This psychological boost is worth more than money. It is the fuel that keeps your persistence burning. As you grow, you can add more members. But be careful. Quality is far more important than quantity. One toxic member can destroy the harmony of the entire group. Guard the door of your mastermind as jealously as you guard the door of your own mind. You must also understand that you must give before you can get. You cannot enter a mastermind alliance asking what is in it for me. You must enter asking what value can I bring? What specialized knowledge do I have that can help the group? What connections can I share? The mastermind is an exchange of value. If you are a taker, you will be rejected. If you are a giver, you will be embraced. The law of compensation applies here just as it applies everywhere else. By helping others achieve their goals, you create a vacuum that draws assistance for your own goals. It is a reciprocal engine of success. So here is your instruction. Do not delay. Identify the people in your life who drain you and limit your exposure to them. Then, identify the people who inspire you and find a way to serve them. Propose an alliance. It can be formal or informal, but it must be definite. Tell them you are building something great, and you want them to be a part of it. Tell them you want to help them build their vision in exchange for their help with yours. Create that third mind. Tap into that invisible power. The moment you form a true mastermind alliance, you stop being a solitary figure fighting against the world, and you become the leader of a force that the world must reckon with. You multiply your eyes, your hands, and your brain power. You condense time. You achieve in 1 year what would take a lifetime alone. This is the driving force of all great fortunes. Now that you have harnessed the power of other minds, we must look at the deepest source of energy within your own body, a source so powerful and so misunderstood that most men waste it entirely. This leads us to the 10th principle, the mystery of sex transmutation. We have now arrived at the 10th principle, which is the most misunderstood, the most maligned, and yet the most powerful of all the laws of success. I call it the mystery of sex transmutation. I ask you to put aside your prejudices, your embarrassment, and your social conditioning for the next few minutes. If you cannot face this subject with a clean and scientific mind, you will miss the secret that has fueled the greatest geniuses in human history. The word transmutation is simple. It means the changing or transferring of one element or form of energy into another. The desire for sexual expression is by far the strongest and most impelling of all the human emotions, and for this very reason, the transmuted into action when harnessed and transmuted into action other than that of physical expression, may raise one to the status of a genius. You must understand that sexual energy is not merely a biological function for reproduction. That is its primary purpose, yes, but in its essence, it is pure, raw, creative energy. It is the life force itself. It is the battery of your being. Nature has given you this intense reservoir of power to ensure the survival of the species, but she has also given you the free will to direct this power into other channels. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. Have you ever noticed the energy of a man who is in pursuit of a romantic interest? He is tireless, he is courageous, he is charming, he will swim oceans and climb mountains. He is vibrating at a higher frequency. The principle of transmutation is simply the art of taking that same intense, unstoppable drive and directing it not toward a person, but toward a purpose. It is taking the energy that wants to create life and using it to create a fortune, an invention, a book, or an empire. The tragedy of the average man is that he does not understand this. He feels the urge and he immediately seeks physical release. He dissipates this priceless energy in moments of indulgence. He treats it like a scratch that must be itched. And once he has released it, he finds himself depleted. His ambition creates a vacuum. His drive softens. He becomes passive. He has thrown away the very fuel that could have carried him to the stars. This explains a fact that I discovered in my analysis of over 25,000 people. I found that the majority of men who succeed do not begin to do so until they are past the age of 40, and often they do not hit their real stride until they are well past 50. Why is this? It is because between the ages of 18 and 40, the average man is dissipating his energies in the pursuit of physical pleasure. He is scattering his fire. It takes him 20 years to learn that this energy is an asset to be invested, not a toy to be played with. When he finally learns this lesson, usually around the age of 40, he begins to harness the overflow of this energy and redirect it into his career. That is when he becomes dangerous. That is when he becomes a leader. Do not mistake my meaning. I am not advocating for the destruction of the sex impulse. That is impossible, and it is unhealthy. Repression is not transmutation. If you try to repress this energy, it will find a way out, often in the form of neurosis or destructive behavior. Transmutation is not denial, it is redirection. It is the conscious choice to say that I feel this power, I acknowledge this fire, and I choose to pour it into my work. When you do this, something magical happens in the brain. The human mind vibrates at different rates. At a low rate of vibration, you are ruled by fear and survival. At a high rate of vibration, you are connected to the sixth sense and infinite intelligence. Nothing stimulates the mind to a higher rate of vibration than sex energy. It acts like a supercharger on an engine. It turns a distinct mind into a brilliant mind. It gives your thoughts a piercing quality that others can feel. This explains the phenomenon of personal magnetism. You have met people who have a certain electric presence. When they walk into a room, heads turn. When they speak, people listen. They have charisma. They have influence. If you analyze these people, you will almost always find that they are individuals of a highly sex nature who have learned the art of transmutation. They are not letting the energy leak out, they are holding it in and letting it radiate through their personality. It shows up in the firmness of their handshake. It shows up in the tone of their voice. It shows up in the sparkle of their eye. This energy is the X factor in salesmanship. The salesman who lacks this energy can know all the scripts and all the techniques, but he will fail to move the customer emotionally. The salesman who has this energy can say very little and yet make the sale, because he is communicating on a subconscious channel that bypasses logic. He is transmitting vitality, and vitality is irresistible. Let us look at history. The men of greatest achievement were men who understood this principle. Leonardo da Vinci was a man of intense energy, yet he channeled it into his art and his inventions. He did not waste his life force. He painted it onto the canvas and drafted it into his notebooks. Napoleon Bonaparte was driven by a massive internal fire. As long as he transmuted that energy into his military campaigns and his love for Josephine, he was invincible. When he allowed his lower nature to take over and his focus to scatter, his power waned. The same is true for you. If you find yourself lacking motivation, lacking the creative spark, or feeling lethargic, it is likely because you are leaking your vital force. You are letting the pressure out of the boiler before it can turn the turbine. How do you apply this? The process is simple, but it requires iron discipline. When you feel the impulse of desire rising, do not condemn it. Recognize it as the raw material of genius. Say to yourself that this is power, this is energy, this is the fuel I need to finish my project. Then, immediately turn your attention to your work. Sit down at your desk, pick up your pen, make the call, force the energy into the mental channel. At first, the mind will rebel. It wants the easy path of physical expression. But if you persist, if you hold the focus, a strange thing will happen. The agitation will settle, and a calm, intense clarity will take its place. You will find yourself working with a speed and a precision that surprises you. Ideas will flow. Fatigue will vanish. You are now running on high-octane fuel. You have successfully transmuted the lead of physical impulse into the gold of mental creation. There is a warning here. The man who discovers this power must be careful. This energy is volatile. It makes men bold, but it can also make them reckless. It makes them determined, but it can also make them stubborn. You must balance this energy with the other principles, specifically the mastermind and organized planning. If you have high energy but no plan, you are a loose cannon. If you have high energy but no mastermind to check your ego, you will destroy what you build. But if you can balance this drive with wisdom, there is no limit to what you can achieve. You become a creator in the truest sense of the word. You are using the same force that creates life to create a destiny. I challenge you to experiment with this. For the next 30 days, practice what I call sexual discipline. Do not dissipate your energy. Conserve it. When the urge arises, throw yourself into your definite chief aim with a ferocity you have never used before. Watch what happens to your output. Watch what happens to your confidence. Watch what happens to your bank account. You will find that you are no longer just working. You are creating. You are no longer just a man or a woman. You are a force of nature. This is the secret that the wealthy have kept for centuries. They do not talk about it because it is personal, but they live by it because it is powerful. Now you know the secret. The question is, do you have the will to master the beast and make it serve you? If you do, You are ready for the next step, which is where we learn to plant this energy into the deep soil of the mind. This leads us to the 11th principle, the subconscious mind. We have explored the engines of desire, the fuel of faith, and the fire of creative energy, but now we must enter the secret chamber where the miracle of transformation actually takes place. This is the 11th principle, the subconscious mind. It is the connecting link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. You may think of the subconscious mind as a connecting link because it is the medium through which you may voluntarily plant in your inner mind the nature of your desires, and it is the medium through which those desires are transmuted into their physical equivalent. The subconscious mind consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches the objective mind through any of the five senses is classified and recorded, and from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn, as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet. It receives and files sense impressions or thoughts, regardless of their nature. You may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into its physical or monetary equivalent. The subconscious acts first on the dominating desires which have been mixed with emotional feeling, such as faith. You must understand the nature of this silent worker within you. It never sleeps, it never rests. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the moment you are born until the moment you die. It is constantly at work, guiding your heartbeat, digesting your food, and regenerating your cells. But its power extends far beyond the biological. It is the great builder of your reality. I liken the subconscious mind to a vast, fertile garden spot. If you plant seeds of corn in that garden, it will produce corn. If you plant seeds of nightshade, a deadly poison, it will produce nightshade. The soil does not care. It does not argue with the farmer. It does not say that this seed is good and that seed is bad. It simply obeys the law of growth. It takes whatever seed is planted, nourishes it, multiplies it, and returns it to you 100-fold. This is the terrifying and magnificent truth of your life. Your subconscious mind is completely indifferent to your success or your failure. It will destroy you just as quickly and efficiently as it will build you up, depending entirely on the orders you give it. Consider the analogy of a massive ocean liner. The subconscious mind is the engine room deep in the belly of the ship. The engineers and the crew in the engine room cannot see where the ship is going. They cannot see the ocean. They cannot see the storms. They cannot see the icebergs. They simply obey the orders that come down from the bridge. The conscious mind is the captain on the bridge. The captain sees the horizon. The captain makes the judgments. If the captain signals full speed ahead, the engine room delivers power. If the captain signals reverse, the engine room reverses. If the captain is drunk or fearful or incompetent and steers the ship into the rocks, the engine room will obediently drive the ship into the rocks with full power. The engine room does not judge the captain's orders. It executes them. You are the captain. Your subconscious is the engine room. If you are walking around saying, "I am tired, I am unlucky, I am afraid," you are signaling the engine room to manufacture fatigue, bad luck, and fear. And the engine room says, as you wish, and goes to work making those thoughts your reality. Most people are victims of their own subconscious minds because they have abandoned the bridge. They let the random suggestions of the world, the news, the gossip, the negativity of others take the wheel. They allow weeds to grow in the garden because they are too lazy to plant flowers. You must understand that thoughts are things. Every thought you think, and especially every thought you verbalize, is a seed. The average human thinks tens of thousands of thoughts. They are rehearsing the worries of tomorrow. And the subconscious mind takes this repetitive data and assumes it is an instruction. It says that since you are thinking about debt all day, you must want debt, so I will help you create more of it. It says that since you are thinking about illness, you must want illness, so I will lower your immune system. You must stop this cycle. You must stand guard at the door of your mind and act as a strict censor. You must refuse to let any thought enter that does not harmonize with your definite chief aim. The subconscious mind responds most quickly to the language of emotion. It is deaf to cold logic. This is why you can read self-help books all day and see no change, but a single traumatic emotional event can change your life forever. Emotion is the carrier wave. When you mix a thought with the emotion of fear, it sinks into the subconscious instantly. This is why worry is so destructive. It is sustained, emotionalized visualization of what you do not want. You must learn to use this law in reverse. You must mix your positive thoughts with the emotion of faith, desire, and love. When you visualize your goal, you cannot just see it like a flat picture on a wall. You must step inside the picture. You must feel the joy of achievement. You must let the emotion of gratitude swell in your chest. When the subconscious feels that emotion, it recognizes the command as a priority and goes to work immediately to bring it about. There is a mysterious aspect to the subconscious that connects you to the infinite. It has access to knowledge that your conscious mind does not possess. Have you ever struggled with a problem all day, gave up, went to sleep, and woke up the next morning with the perfect solution popping into your head? That was your subconscious mind working on the problem while your conscious mind was asleep. It took the data you fed it, reorganized it, connected it with the universal database of infinite intelligence, and handed you the answer. This is why the habit of reviewing your goals before sleep is so critical. The last thought you put into your mind before you drift into unconsciousness is the instruction card for the night shift. If you go to sleep watching a horror movie or worrying about bills, you are telling the night shift to manufacture fear and anxiety. But if you go to sleep visualizing your success and repeating your affirmation, you are telling the night shift to build your fortune. Never go to sleep without giving your subconscious a constructive assignment. You must also respect the fact that the subconscious speaks to you in a different language. It does not speak in words, it speaks in hunches, flashes of inspiration, and intuition. This connects back to the sixth sense. When you get a sudden urge to call someone, or a sudden warning not to go somewhere, that is, your subconscious mind communicating the result of its calculations. The successful man learns to trust these messages. He knows that his subconscious processing power is millions of times faster than his conscious logic. He treats his subconscious like a trusted partner. He feeds it clear goals, he protects it from negativity, and then he trusts it to handle the details of execution. Ultimately, the subconscious mind is the mechanism of habit. We are creatures of habit, and habit is simply a pathway that has been burned into the subconscious through repetition. If you want to change your life, you cannot just change your actions. You must change the underlying program. You must reprogram the software. This takes time. It takes persistence. It takes the daily application of auto-suggestion. You are rewriting the code of your identity. At first, the old code will fight back. You will feel resistance. You will feel foolish. But if you persist, the new instructions will take root. The weeds will die from lack of attention, and the new seeds of prosperity will begin to sprout. Remember that you are the gardener. The garden is yours to cultivate or to neglect. But nature does not allow the garden to sit empty. If you do not plant the beautiful, the toxic will grow. Take responsibility for your inner soil. Feed it with the white heat of desire. Water it with the waters of faith. Protect it from the pests of fear. If you do this, your subconscious mind will become your greatest ally. It will work for you while you sleep. It will bring you opportunities that logic could never find. It will connect you to the minds of other men. It will serve you faithfully and bring to you the physical equivalent of the thoughts you have planted. Now that we understand the software of the mind, we must look at the hardware that broadcasts these thoughts to the world. This leads us to the 12th principle, the brain. We have explored the deep internal workings of the subconscious mind, the fertile garden where the seeds of your destiny are planted. But now we must address a question that has baffled scientists and philosophers for centuries. How does the thought of one man connect with the mind of another? How does an idea attract money? How does invisible desire pull visible resources from the ether? The answer lies in the 12th principle, the brain. You are walking around with the most complex and miraculous machinery in the known universe, yet most of you treat it as nothing more than a storage tank for facts. I am here to tell you that your brain is not merely a biological organ for processing data. It is a broadcasting and receiving station for the vibration of thought. It operates on principles similar to that of a radio. Every radio station has a transmitter to send signals and a receiver to pick them up. Your brain is no different. It is constantly sending out vibrations of your dominant thoughts, and it is constantly picking up vibrations that match the frequency to which you are tuned. You must understand the physics of success. Everything in the universe is energy. Matter is energy. Light is energy. And thought is energy. When you think a thought, you are not just having a private internal experience, you are releasing a wave of energy into the ether. If that thought is weak and fleeting, the wave dies a few inches from your skull. But if that thought is charged with the high voltage of emotion, fear, desire, love, or sex, it travels. It bypasses the physical limitations of space and time. This explains the phenomenon that you have likely experienced but could never explain. Have you ever watched a train where two people were sitting in silence and you immediately felt a heavy, dark tension? Jesus. You felt the anger in the air, even though not a word was spoken. Your brain was receiving the hostile vibrations being broadcast by their brains. Conversely, have you ever been in the presence of a great leader or a person of high achievement and felt a sudden surge of confidence and energy? You felt lifted up simply by standing near them. That was your brain picking up the high-frequency broadcast of a mind tuned to success. This principle explains the mechanism of the mastermind. When we spoke of the mastermind earlier, we talked about the third mind that is created when two or more people ally themselves in harmony. The brain principle provides the scientific explanation for this. When two brains are tuned to the same frequency of desire and purpose, their vibrations mingle in the ether and create a field of resonance. This field acts as a booster station. It amplifies the signal. This is why you are smarter, faster, and more creative when you are discussing your plans with your alliance than when you are sitting alone in a dark room. You are not just using your own brain power. You are stepping into a shared field of intelligence that is generated by the combined broadcasting power of the group. The tragedy of the average person is that they are unconscious broadcasters. They do not realize that every moment of fear, every moment of worry, and every moment of self-doubt is being transmitted to the world. They walk into a job interview thinking, "I probably won't get this," and they broadcast that lack of confidence to the employer. The employer may not hear the words, but his brain receives the signal of weakness, and he decides not to hire them. He calls it a gut feeling, but it is actually a reception of thought vibration. You are constantly advertising yourself to the world. If your station is playing the music of poverty, you will attract people who love the song of poverty. If your station is playing the music of failure, you will attract circumstances that harmonize with failure. Like attracts like. This is not a metaphor, it is a law of physics applied to psychology. You cannot broadcast a signal of doubt and expect to receive a return signal of confidence. However, the brain is also a receiver. It is capable of picking up vibrations from three sources: the conscious thoughts of other people, the subconscious minds of other people, and the great storehouse of infinite intelligence. But here is the catch. You can only receive the messages that match your current vibration. If your mind is vibrating at the low frequency of fear, you cannot pick up the high-frequency ideas that lead to wealth. The solution to your financial problem may be floating in the ether right next to you, broadcast by infinite intelligence, but your receiver is broken. You are tuned to the static of worry. To receive the answers you need, to catch the hunches and the flashes of inspiration that create empires, you must step up the vibration of your mind. How do you step up the vibration? You use the stimulants we have already discussed. The most powerful stimulants are sex energy, love, burning desire, and music. When you are in a state of intense desire, or when you are in lombis, or when you are listening to stirring music, your brain function accelerates. The chemical composition of the brain changes. You feel sharper, you feel electric. In this state, you are open, you are a super receiver. This is why many great ideas come to you when you are driving, or showering, or exercising, or listening to music. Your conscious resistance is down, your vibration is up, and the station is finally open to receive the broadcast from the universal mind. You must become a deliberate broadcaster. You must take control of the station. Every morning, you must decide what frequency you will operate on. You must say to yourself that today I am broadcasting power. Today I am broadcasting service. Today I am broadcasting goodwill. When you do this deliberately, you become a magnet. People will be drawn to you, and they will not know why. They will say there is something about you that they like. They will want to help you. They will want to do business with you. What they are responding to is the invisible signal you are sending. This is the secret of what people call personal magnetism. It is nothing more than a brain that is disciplined to broadcast a high-frequency signal of faith and purpose. There is a defensive aspect to this principle as well. Just as you can tune into success, you can be infected by failure. If you spend your time in the presence of people who are broadcasting negativity, cynicism, and hopelessness, your brain will eventually synchronize with their rhythm. It is unavoidable. This is why you must guard your environment. If you sit in a room filled with smoke, your clothes will smell of smoke. If you sit in a room filled with small thinking, your mind will shrink. You must insulate yourself against the negative broadcasts of the world. When you hear people complaining, you must mentally change the station. You must refuse to let your brain resonate with that frequency. Close your mind to the negative broadcasts just as you would lock your door against a thief. You have the power to influence others without saying a word. This is the highest level of salesmanship and leadership. When you walk into a negotiation, before you open your mouth, you should be broadcasting a silent thought of agreement and harmony. Send a mental message to the other person that says, "I intend to be fair with you and I expect you to be fair with me." This silent command often disarms the opposition before the battle begins. It sets the tone in the ether. The greatest leaders lead by this silent power. They do not have to shout because their thought vibration is so loud that it drowns out the doubts of their followers. So here is your instruction for this principle. Realize that you are not isolated. Your head is not a vault. It is an antenna. You are connected to every other mind in the universe through the medium of the ether. If you want to change your results, you must change your signal. If you want to stop attracting rejection, stop broadcasting insecurity. If you want to stop attracting poverty, stop broadcasting the fear of lack. Tune your mind to the station of abundance. Keep it there. If it drifts, tune it back. The universe is full of answers, full of resources, and full of allies, all waiting for you to tune in to the frequency where they exist. Once you master this, you will no longer chase success. You will attract it. The resources you need will seem to appear by coincidence, but you will know it is not coincidence. It is resonance. Now that we understand the machinery of the brain, we are ready to ascend to the final peak of this philosophy, the door to wisdom itself. This leads us to the 13th principle, the sixth sense. We have climbed the mountain together, step by step, principle by principle. We have moved from the raw fire of desire through the mechanical structuring of planning and into the deep psychology of the subconscious and the brain. Now we stand at the summit. We stand before the final gate. This is the 13th principle, the sixth sense. I call it the door to the temple of wisdom. This principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be understood and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles. If you have skipped the work of the previous steps, this door will remain locked to you. But if you have prepared your mind, if you have cleansed it of fear and tuned it with faith, you are ready to experience the most miraculous faculty of the human being. The sixth sense is that portion of the subconscious mind which has been referred to as the creative imagination. It is the receiving set through which ideas, plans, and thoughts flash into the mind. The flashes are sometimes called hunches or inspiration. It is the direct link between the finite mind of man and infinite intelligence. You must understand that there is a power in the universe that permeates every atom of matter and every unit of energy. It is the power that keeps the stars in their courses and the earth spinning on its axis. The sixth sense is the faculty that allows your individual mind to contact this universal mind. When you tap into this power, you are no longer operating on your own limited experience. You are no longer limited by what you have read in books or what you have learned in school. You are plugging your mental machinery into the cosmic generator of all knowledge. This is the secret of the genius. A genius is simply a man who has discovered how to increase the vibrations of thought to the point where he can freely communicate with sources of knowledge not available through the ordinary rate of vibration of thought. The great artists, the great inventors, the great leaders, they did not create from nothing. They received, they tuned in, they heard the melody before they wrote it. They saw the machine before they built it. They felt the strategy before they executed it. The sixth sense defies description by any language that a person who has not mastered the other principles can understand. It is something that must be experienced to be known. It often comes to you in the form of a warning. It acts as a guardian angel. Have you ever had a sudden feeling that you should not get on a certain plane, or that you should not sign a certain contract, or that you should turn down a certain street? You could not explain it logically. The facts said go, but the feeling said stop. That was the sixth sense protecting you. It sees dangers that your physical eyes cannot see. It senses vibrations of deceit or danger that your conscious mind misses. The man who has mastered this principle learns to trust these hunches implicitly. He does not argue with them. He obeys them instantly. And time after time, he finds that this unseen guidance has saved him from disaster or led him to a fortune that logic would have walked right past. However, the sixth sense is not just a warning system, it is a guidance system for opportunity. When you are struggling with a definite chief aim, and you have done all the planning and all the work you can do, and you are stuck against a wall, it is the sixth sense that hands you the solution. It usually happens when you least expect it. It happens when your mind is relaxed, perhaps when you are walking in nature or just waking up from sleep. Suddenly, the idea flashes into your mind. It comes fully formed. It comes with a feeling of certainty and excitement. This is infinite intelligence handing you the missing puzzle piece. It is the universe conspiring to help you. But you must be listening. If your mind is filled with the noise of fear, worry, and anxiety, you will never hear the whisper. The sixth sense speaks only to the calm mind. It speaks only to the prepared mind. This is why we spend so much time on autosuggestion and the brain. You were tuning the receiver so that the static would clear and the message could come through. I want to share with you a practice that I use to develop this sense, a practice that may sound strange to the conventional mind but is powerful beyond measure. I call it the invisible counselors. Every night, before I went to sleep, I would close my eyes and imagine that I was sitting at a great council table. I would invite the men I admired most in history to sit with me. I invited Emerson, Paine, Edison, Darwin, Lincoln, Ford, and Carnegie. I would visualize them clearly, I would see their faces, I would feel their presence, and then I would address them. I would say to Mr. Emerson, I desire to acquire from you the marvelous understanding of nature which distinguished your life. I would say to Mr. Lincoln, I desire to build into my own character the keen sense of justice and the untiring spirit of patience that were yours. I would go around the table and ask each man for his specialized knowledge. Night after night, I played this game of imagination, but eventually it stopped being a game. The characters began to take on a life of their own. I would ask a question about a difficult problem I was facing, and in my mind, Lincoln would answer, or Carnegie would offer a strategy. What was happening? I was using the sixth sense to tap into the vibrational archives of these great minds. I was accessing the reservoir of wisdom that they left in the ether. This practice allowed me to think with a power that was far greater than my own. You can do the same. You can build your own cabinet of invisible counselors. You must accept that you are never truly alone. The man who has mastered the sixth sense walks with a quiet confidence that intimidates his enemies and inspires his followers. He is confident because he knows he has backup. He knows that in an emergency, he can draw upon a power that is invincible. He does not fear poverty because he knows he can receive ideas that create wealth. He does not fear death because he understands that he is part of something eternal. The fear of the unknown vanishes because the sixth sense illuminates the darkness ahead. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the freedom from the reliance on luck. The man who relies on the sixth sense creates his own luck. He moves with the rhythm of the universe. He is in the right place at the right time, not by accident, but by alignment. But here is the final warning. The sixth sense is a spiritual faculty. It cannot be used for destructive or selfish ends for very long. If you try to use this power to harm others, or to take what is not yours, the connection will be severed, or worse, it will turn against you. This power respects the law of harmony. It responds to the constructive emotions of love, hope, and faith. It recoils from greed and envy. This is why character is the foundation of all lasting success. You cannot build a skyscraper on quicksand, and you cannot build a connection to infinite intelligence on a foundation of dishonesty. As you develop this sense, you will find that your desires change. You will become less interested in the mere accumulation of objects. and more interested in the creation of value and the service of mankind. You will realize that true wealth is not just what you have in your bank account, but what you have access to in your mind. So, how do you open this door? You do not force it open. You unlock it by living the first 12 principles. When you have truly mastered desire, faith, and persistence, when you have transmuted your energy and tuned your brain, the door will open of its own accord. You will begin to notice the coincidences. You will begin to feel the hunches. You will begin to have dreams that come true. When this starts to happen, acknowledge it. Say to yourself that the channel is opening. Trust it. Act on it. Test it in small things, and as your faith grows, the signal will become stronger. You are stepping out of the darkness of ignorance and into the light of understanding. You are becoming a master of your destiny. You are taking your place in the temple of wisdom. Walk through the door. The universe has been waiting for you. This concludes the principles, but it is only the beginning of your journey. Now, you must go back to the beginning and live them. We have spent the last 2 hours constructing a magnificent engine of success. We have assembled the gears of planning, the fuel of desire, and the guidance system of the sixth sense. But now I must speak to you of the invisible saboteurs that threaten to dismantle everything you have built. You may have the greatest plan in the world, but if these enemies are hiding in the shadows of your mind, you will never pull the lever of action. I call them the 6 ghosts of fear. They are ghosts because they are not real. They exist only in your imagination, yet they have the power to paralyze your physical body, rot your ambition, and sentence you to a life of mediocrity. Before you can put the philosophy of success into operation, you must perform a mental autopsy. You must look inside your own soul and hunt down these 6 enemies. You must name them, you must confront them, and you must destroy them. If you do not kill them, they will kill your destiny. There are 6 of them, and every failure, every disappointment, and every broken dream can be traced back to one or a combination of these 6. The first and most destructive is the fear of poverty. This is the most difficult ghost to kill because it has been programmed into the human race for centuries. It is the fear that whispers you will not have enough. It is the voice that says, play it safe. It is the reason men stay in jobs they despise for 40 years. It is the reason dreams are traded for a paycheck. You can recognize this fear by its symptoms. It shows up as procrastination, the habit of putting off action because you are waiting for a guarantee that the action will pay off. It shows up as indecision, the inability to say yes or no because you are terrified of making a mistake that will cost you money. It shows up as doubt, where you constantly question your own ability to generate wealth. Listen to me closely. This fear is a form of mental paralysis. If you fear poverty, you will attract poverty. The mind that is focused on not losing cannot focus on winning. You must replace the fear of poverty with the decision for riches. You must realize that wealth is not a limited resource. The only limit is in your mind. If you are willing to serve, the world will pay you. Kill this ghost by burning your bridges and trusting in your ability to create value. The second enemy is the fear of criticism. This ghost kills more initiative than any other. It is the fear of what they will say. Who are they? They are the neighbors, the relatives, the friends who have given up on their own dreams and now want you to give up on yours. This fear makes you afraid to dress differently. It makes you afraid to speak your truth. It makes you afraid to launch a new idea because you might look foolish. I have seen brilliant men with world-changing ideas lock those ideas in a drawer simply because they were afraid of a little laughter. This is a tragedy. You must realize that criticism is the defense mechanism of the mediocre. When you step out of line, you shine a light on their inaction and they attack you to make themselves feel better. Do not fear their voices. Their opinions do not pay your bills. Their opinions do not build your legacy. The only way to avoid criticism is to do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. If you want to be great, you must accept criticism as the tuition you pay for success. Wear it like a badge of honor. The third enemy is the fear of ill health. This is a particularly insidious ghost because it often creates the very symptoms it fears. The habit of using illness as an excuse is a common alibi for lack of ambition. We call this hypochondria, but it is really just fear. People use their headaches, their nerves, and their aches as a shield against the demands of life. They want sympathy more than they want success. They say, I would do it, but my health is not good. This is autosuggestion in reverse. The mind is so powerful that if you constantly fear disease, you will lower your resistance and invite disease in. You must stop talking about your ailments. Stop reading about symptoms. Stop identifying as a sick person. Focus your mind on vitality, energy, and strength. Your body listens to your mind. Command it to be strong, so that it can serve your definite purpose. The fourth enemy is the fear of loss of love. This ghost creates jealousy, suspicion, and insanity. It stems from a deep lack of self-reliance. The man who fears the loss of love believes that his happiness is dependent on another person. He becomes possessive, he becomes controlling, and in doing so, he drives away the very love he is trying to keep. This fear destroys the mastermind alliance because it introduces friction and distrust. You must understand that you cannot own another human being. Love is a gift, not a possession. True love thrives in freedom, not in chains. To kill this ghost, you must build your own self-confidence. You must know that you are complete within yourself. When you do not need love to survive, you become more attractive, and you attract love that is healthy and supportive. The fifth enemy is the fear of old age. This is the ghost that tells you it is too late. It whispers that your best days are behind you. It tells you that opportunity is for the young. This is a lie. My research proves that the most productive years of a man's life are often between 40 and 60. This is when he has gathered experience. This is when he has mastered his emotions. This is when he has developed his judgment. Old age is not a liability. It is an asset. It is the harvest season. Do not look at your gray hair as a sign of decay. Look at it as a sign of wisdom. Colonel Sanders did not franchise his chicken until he was 65. Do not let the calendar dictate your ambition. As long as you have a mind that can think and a heart that can desire, you are young enough to start. The only true old age is the abandonment of hope. The sixth and final enemy is the fear of death. This is the shadow that hangs over all the others. It is the ultimate unknown. People allow the fear of death to stop them from living. They play it safe because they are trying to preserve a life that will end anyway. This leads to a state of nihilism where a man asks, "What is the point of building anything if I am going to die?" The answer is that you build because you are alive. You build to leave a legacy. You build to express your divinity while you are here. The entire world is a graveyard of men who were afraid to die, so they never truly lived. You must accept death as an inescapable necessity. It is the nature of life. Once you accept it, it loses its power over you. In fact, the awareness of death should not paralyze you. It should energize you. It reminds you that time is limited. It screams at you to act now. Do not fear the end. Fear a beginning that never happens. You must analyze yourself right now. Which of these ghosts is haunting you? Is it the fear of being broke? Is it the fear of what your mother will say? Is it the fear that you are too old? You must drag that ghost out into the sunlight of logic. Analyze it. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? If you fail, you will still be alive. If they laugh, you will still be alive. The only thing that can truly hurt you is the regret of not trying. Fear is nothing more than a state of mind. And because it is a state of mind, it is subject to your control. You are the master of your own mental household. You have the power to evict these unwanted guests. Here is the formula for the exorcism. When the thought of fear enters your mind, immediately replace it with its opposite. If you feel the fear of poverty, immediately visualize your wealth. If you feel the fear of criticism, immediately affirm your independence. If you feel the fear of ill health, immediately move your body with vigor. Do not argue with the ghost. Displace it. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you fill your mind with faith, there is no room for fear. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space at the same time. You must choose which one will live in your house. This brings us to the conclusion of our journey. You now have the keys. You have the 13 principles that build the structure of success, and you have identified the 6 ghosts that try to tear it down. The knowledge is now yours, but knowledge alone is not enough. You must add the final ingredient, which is action. You must wake up tomorrow morning and live these principles. You must read your statement. You must listen to your hunches. You must guard your mind. The world is waiting for the person who has conquered fear, The world steps aside for the man who knows where he is going. Be that man, be that woman. The path is open. The ghosts are gone. Your destiny is waiting. Go and claim it. We have arrived at the end of words and the beginning of deeds. We have walked a long road together through the 13 principles of success, from the first spark of burning desire to the high spiritual frequency of the sixth sense. You have faced the 6 ghosts of fear and identified the invisible chains that have bound you to mediocrity. Now you stand at the threshold of a new life. But standing at the threshold is not enough. You must cross it. The tragedy of the intellectual world is that it is filled with men and women who know the law but do not live the law. They are like starving men standing in a field of wheat, dying of hunger because they refuse to harvest the grain. Do not let that be your epitaph. Knowledge is not power. It is only potential. Power is knowledge applied with the fire of emotion and the steel of discipline. This final charge is not a summary. It is an ordination. It is a command to take absolute possession of the only thing you truly own, which is your own mind. You must understand that there is a battle waging for your soul every single day. It is a silent war between the drifting forces of the environment and the sovereign power of your own will. If you do not consciously take command of your soul, the world will command it for you. The world will tell you who to be. The world will tell you what to fear. The world will tell you what to buy and how to live. To take command means to stage an internal insurrection against every outside influence that does not serve your definite chief aim. It means declaring martial law in your own mind. It means saying that from this moment forward, no negative thought, no doubt, and no fear is allowed to live in this temple. This is what it means to be the captain of your soul. The captain does not ask the crew for permission. The captain gives orders. You have been behaving like a passenger on your own ship, hoping the winds will be favorable. I am handing you the wheel. I am telling you that the winds do not matter when the hand on the wheel is firm and the course is set. You must accept the profound responsibility that comes with this knowledge. You can no longer blame your parents for your lack of confidence. You can no longer blame the economy for your lack of wealth. You can no longer blame your lack of education for your lack of progress. Those alibis are dead. You have the tools. You understand that desire creates the impulse, faith bridges the gap, auto-suggestion programs the mind, and persistence ensures the arrival. If you fail now, it is because you have chosen to fail. That sounds harsh, but it is the most liberating truth you will ever hear. If you are responsible for your failure, you are also responsible for your success. You are the author, the director, and the lead actor of your life's movie. If you do not like the script, rewrite it. If you do not like the ending, change it. You have the power to change it instantly by a mere change of thought habit. Consider the magnitude of the gift you have been given. The Creator has given you complete control over your own thoughts. This is the only thing over which you have absolute right of exercise. Why would the Creator give you this one power if it were not sufficient to solve all your problems and grant all your desires? It is the master key, but a key must be turned. You must turn it every morning when you wake up. You must look in the mirror and affirm your identity. You must say that I am a force of nature. I am a builder. I am a creator. You must refuse to engage in the petty gossip and small thinking that occupies the minds of the drifting masses. You are royalty. Act like it. Think like it. Walk like it. When you take command of your soul, your posture changes. Your voice changes. The vibration you send out changes. And the world, which loves a leader, will step aside to let you pass. Do not wait for a perfect moment. Do not wait for a sign from the heavens. This video is the sign. The fact that you have listened this far is the sign. The feeling in your chest right now is the sign. The time for preparation is over. The time for execution is now. You must become a person of action. Ideas are fleeting. They are like snowflakes. If you hold them too long without acting, they melt. You must take the energy you feel right now and transmute it into immediate physical action. Write the plan. Make the call. Burn the bridge. Do something that signals to the universe that you have woken up. The universe responds to speed. It responds to boldness. Fortune favors the brave, not the hesitant. You will face resistance. Do not be naive. The moment you decide to take command, the old habits will fight back. The old friends will try to pull you down. The old fears will whisper in the night. This is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a sign that you are growing. Resistance is the weight that builds the muscle of your character. Welcome it, smile at it, use it. Every time you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your destiny. Every time you persist through fatigue, you are polishing the diamond of your soul. This journey is not just about getting money. Money is a byproduct. This journey is about becoming the kind of person who can command money, command influence, and command peace of mind. It is about self-mastery. I want you to make a solemn covenant with yourself right now. A covenant is deeper than a promise. It is a binding agreement with your own spirit. Vow to yourself that you will never again settle for less than you are capable of. Vow that you will never again let fear dictate your decisions. Vow that you will keep going until you win. There is no such thing as failure for the man who keeps going. There is only temporary defeat. And temporary defeat is nothing more than a signal to adjust your plan. You are built for victory. Your brain is a broadcasting station for success. Your subconscious is a machine for manifestation. All the systems are go. All the lights are green. The only thing missing is your command. Look at the road ahead of you. It is wide open. The limitations you thought were real were just shadows cast by the ghosts of fear. You have dispersed the ghosts. Now you see the truth. The truth is that you are powerful beyond measure. You have the capacity to change your life, to change your family's destiny, and to change the world. But you must claim it. You must reach out and take it. It will not be handed to you on a silver platter. You must demand it of life. Life is a just employer. It will pay you exactly what you ask. But you must ask with definiteness, and you must back your ask with service. As we close this masterclass, do not let this be just another video you watched. Let this be the demarcation line. Let there be a before this video and an after this video in the timeline of your life. Let the old version of you die right here. Let the drifter die. Let the victim die. And let the master rise. Rise up and take your place among the giants. The seat at the table of success is waiting for you, but you must walk to it. You must sit in it. You must own it. Go now. The world is waiting for your decision. The world is waiting for your gift. The world is waiting for your voice. Take command of your soul, take command of your mind, and destiny will take command of your future. This is the law. This is the way. And now, it is your life. Make it a masterpiece. We have now reached the final moment of our time together, a moment that is far more critical than the beginning, because the beginning was merely curiosity, but the end is a verdict. You have sat through the dismantling of your old self and the reconstruction of your potential. You have received the 13 keys that unlock the door to the Temple of Wisdom. You have looked into the face of your desires, and you have hunted down the ghosts of your fears. But now the screen will go dark, and the silence will return. This is the most dangerous moment of all. It is dangerous because the law of diminishing intent is waiting for you. This law states that the longer you wait to take action on a new idea, the less likely you are to ever take it. The emotion you feel right now is high, your motivation is peaking, and your vision is clear. But I warn you that by tomorrow morning, the hypnotic rhythm of your old habits will try to pull you back into the drift. The world will try to convince you that what you heard today was just a nice theory, a pleasant daydream, and that you should get back to the reality of being average. You must decide right now, in this second, whether you will allow that to happen or whether you will drive a stake into the ground and mark this moment as the turning point of your destiny. You are standing at the fork in the road that I described at the very beginning. One path is wide and easy. It is the path of the drifter. On that path, you will do nothing with this information. You will close this video and go back to scrolling. You will go back to complaining about your job. You will go back to wishing for wealth without paying the price. You will let the seed of desire die in the dry soil of procrastination. And 5 years from now, you will be exactly where you are today, only older, more cynical, and heavier with the weight of regret. That is the path of the 98%. It is crowded, it is comfortable, and it leads to nowhere. The other path is narrow and steep. It is the path of the master. On this path, you take what you have learned and you apply it with a fanatic discipline. You wake up tomorrow and you read your statement. You force your mind to visualize. You persist when you are tired. You transmute your energy. You listen to the sixth sense. This path is lonely at first, but it leads to the heights where the air is thin and the view is infinite. It leads to wealth, yes, but more importantly, it leads to the mastery of your own soul. You must choose your path now. Not tomorrow, now. Indecision is a decision. If you do not choose the path of mastery, you have automatically chosen the path of drifting. I am offering you a practical way to seal this decision right now. Throughout this masterclass, we have spoken of the ninth principle, the mastermind. You learned that you cannot succeed alone. You need an alliance. You need a source of continuous nourishment for your mind to keep the fire of desire burning. You need to surround yourself with a vibration of success. This channel is not just a collection of videos. It is a digital mastermind alliance. We are building a community of the 2% who refuse to drift. By subscribing to this channel, you are not just clicking a button, you are making a micro-commitment. You are signaling to your subconscious mind that you align with this philosophy. You are saying that I am a student of success and I want to be reminded of these laws daily. You are joining an invisible network of minds that are tuning into the frequency of achievement. Do not treat this lightly. Every time you see a video from this channel, it will act as a sentinel, a guard that reminds you to stay on the path. It will be the voice of persistence when you want to quit. It will be the voice of faith when you are filled with doubt. So I ask you now to make your first executive decision as the captain of your soul. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notifications. Do it with the intent of a builder laying the first brick. Say to yourself that I am joining this alliance because I refuse to walk alone. I am joining this alliance because I demand a higher standard for my mental intake. This is your first act of organized planning. It is a small act, but it sets the direction. And once you have done that, I have a second charge for you. I want you to share this message with one other person. Just one. This is the beginning of your own personal mastermind. Find someone in your life who has potential, someone you trust, and send them this masterclass. Say to them that we are going to walk this road together. We are going to hold each other accountable. We are going to study these laws and apply them until they become our blood and bone. By teaching this to someone else, you learn it twice. By lifting someone else up, you rise yourself. This is the law of compensation in action. You must understand that the ultimate law of success is not a magic trick. It is a system of living. It requires maintenance. You cannot eat one meal and stay full forever, and you cannot listen to one speech and stay motivated forever. You must feed your mind as regularly as you feed your body. Make a pact with yourself that you will return to this master class. Listen to it while you drive. Listen to it while you exercise. Let the repetition hammer these truths into your subconscious until they replace the old programming of fear and limitation. There will be days when you feel like you are making no progress. That is the illusion of the plateau. Under the surface, the bamboo is growing roots. Keep watering it. Keep believing. The breakthrough always comes to the man who refuses to go home. Look at the screen of your mind one last time. Visualize the person you want to be 5 years from now. See the house you live in. See the work you do. See the impact you have. See the bank account balance. But most of all, see the look in your eyes. It is the look of a man or woman who has conquered themselves. That person is waiting for you. That person is begging you to make the right decision today. Do not let them down. The distance between you and that future self is not measured in miles. It is measured in decisions. And the most important decision is the one you make right now. Are you a drifter or are you a captain? Are you a victim of circumstance or are you a master of destiny? The universe is indifferent to your choice. The sun will rise tomorrow whether you are rich or poor. The seasons will change whether you are happy or miserable. The universe waits for your command. If you command nothing, you get nothing. If you command success and back it with these 13 principles, the universe will bend to your will. It has no choice. It is the law. You have the map, you have the engine. You have the fuel. The only thing missing is the spark. Be the spark. Light the fire today and let it burn so bright that it blinds the ghosts of fear. Let it burn so hot that it forges a new reality. I leave you now with this final thought. You are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your soul. But a captain must steer. A master must command. Do not let this moment pass into the graveyard of good intentions. Subscribe, commit, act, step across the line. Your future is not something that happens to you. It is something you happen to. Go out and happen to the world. The time for learning is over. The time for living is now. You have the map. You have the engine. You have the fuel. But remember, the law of diminishing intent is waiting. If you leave this video and do nothing, the drift will pull you back. Do not let that happen. Seal your decision right now. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. This is not just a button. It is your pact with excellence. It is your promise to return and feed your mind daily. And here is your first assignment as a master of your destiny. Like this video to broadcast your vibration to the algorithm, and then leave a comment below. Write your definite chief aim, or simply write, "I am the captain of my soul." Declare it publicly. When you write it, you begin to create it. Do not be a spectator. Be a creator. Join the alliance. Taking command of your life begins with this one click. I will see you on the path to riches.